Hello, freaks. I guess I don't know what child it is, but there's a child that testifies on today's day 3 here. It's the Rosenbaums again. Here we go. And good morning, and there's Blue and Chloe. Chloe's trying to eat her little biscuit. She's very snooty about it.
It was an outside company that DFACS employs to do their transporting. I think they do.
This is almost
Raise your right hand.
3 hours.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And can you please state and spell your name?
Amanda Harrell, AMANDA HARRILL.
And Ms. Harrell, how do you know Millie Harrell?
She's my daughter.
And how did she come to be your daughter?
I became a foster parent in August of 15, and through the course of the time, her younger sisters were placed with me, and then a little bit more time came, then we were blessed to have her come with us.
And why did you become a foster parent?
It just kind of presented itself. I had learned through a friend more about fostering, and I was married, I didn't have any kids, and the more I thought about it, I had a loving home to offer, and I had a flexible job that gave me the freedom to be able to provide what was needed, and then it just kind of took off from there.
And before Millie's younger sisters, how many foster children did you have?
None.
They were your first?
My first and only.
Now, how old was Millie when she first came to live with you?
6.
And how old was Millie's younger sisters when they came to live with you?
Carly was just shy of a month, and Hannah was 7 weeks, I believe.
When was the first time you met Millie?
I had met Millie, I don't remember ever seeing her at any court hearings, but I believe the first time I ever met her was when our transporter for visitations, a few times, due to scheduling changes, she would pick Millie up before she would come to get Carly, and I had the opportunity just to briefly meet her in the backseat of the car as I was buckling Carly.
When you say visitations, what kind of visitations were taking place?
The girls had visitations with either Tessa, or the sisters. Eventually we got to where we had, sibling visits, and a transporter would pick up Carly for me and then take her to wherever the visits were taking place.
And was the transporter someone employed by DFACS?
I think it was an outside company that DFACS employs to do their transporting. I think they do home studies and stuff as well.
Now, how did you learn of Laila's death?
The night that Laila died, I received a call. I believe it was from a caseworker from Henry County or someone from DFACS, requesting the number to my foster agency's emergency intake line. During that call, they did say that Carly's sister, had tragically passed away, and that they were looking for possibly emergency placement of Millie. They asked if I would take her, and I said yes. And then that was the end of it.
At the time of that phone call, had you met Millie those few times with the transporter?
Yes. Oh, no, I had not.
No. Okay. So at the time of that phone call, you had not met Millie at all?
No, Carly had only been with me maybe 5 weeks.
And after those first few brief interactions with the transporter, when was the next time you met Millie?
I might have seen her in court, but I don't think so. In July of 17, visit schedules kind of changed, and we moved the visit. At this point, it was a sibling visit, and we moved the location to my house. And then so Millie started coming to visitations at my house.
So what happened between the phone call you got on November 17, 2015, asking you if you would take Millie, and July 2017?
I asked that a lot too. When I agreed, it was obviously things were chaos. It was late at night. I didn't hear back from them, and so of course I am frantically trying to figure out what's about to happen, and am I now gonna, am I making changes for, room for a 4-year-old? And as I waited and waited, and things kind of changed, and then all of a sudden DFACS came back and had a concern because I had a pool, I had dogs, and they wanted those things addressed. So then my dogs were cleared and everything was fine, and then I had to add an additional fence to the pool, and by the time I was able to get that taken care of, Millie had already been placed in another home, so they said she's gonna stay where she is.
And how did it come about that after July of 2017, Millie actually ended up with you after being placed somewhere else?
My understanding is she went to a couple different places in between. A couple phone calls I got asking if she could come, live with us. I always said yes when I got that phone call. And then sibling visits started at our house. And, DFACS had kind of started talking about permanent placements and what that was going to look like and wanting the sisters together. And then she came to visit. We took her on a family vacation with us. And at that point, she was placed with Peggy Banks. And when we got back from our Thanksgiving vacation to the beach, when I was transitioning Millie back to Peggy, she mentioned that she felt that Christmas or winter break would be a good time for Millie to transition into my home.
And step back a little. You went on a family vacation with the 3 girls in November of 2017?
Yes, we invited Millie to go with us.
And at that time, where was Millie living?
With Peggy Banks.
And whose idea was it at that time for Millie to transition to live in your home?
I wanted her the entire time, but it wasn't until there was Peggy was wanting her to stay with her, but then she mentioned it. She knew that obviously I was open to it and wanted that to happen, but then she had changed her mind and thought that was what was best for Millie.
When did Millie officially move into your home?
She officially moved in on December 27th of 17.
And did you spend that Christmas with Millie?
I did. Christmas is very big to our family, so I wanted to make sure she was with us.
And after December 27 of 2017, was Millie permanently with you up until this time?
Yes.
And were you present for the hearing regarding the termination of Tessa's parental rights as the father's?
Mm-hmm.
And what was that date?
June 8th.
Of what year?
Of 18.
And what was the date that Millie and her sisters were officially adopted?
3/18/19.
Now, at the time that Millie began to live with you in December of 2017, how old was she?
6.
And at that time, what, if anything, did you know about Millie's first 6 years of her life?
I didn't know a lot of information. I knew she had been in several different places. Obviously, I had heard that she was in the home where her sister passed away, that, there was, potentially, some issues that she may have been through, just trauma in general from all of the moving things that she had experienced and been a part of. But that was about it.
Did you know anything about Millie's medical history prior to her coming to stay with you?
Mm-hmm.
And how come you didn't have any of her medical history?
Well, I'm not actually, privy to that information until she's technically placed in my home. But even when she was placed with me, any medical information was hard to get. Anything when her time in Henry County, I was just told that no one could access that information, so they had nothing to give to me. But that when she was adopted, then I would have all medical records.
And at this time, have you been able to get all of Millie's medical records?
No, I have very spotty records.
And were you at the time that you adopted or started fostering Millie, were you able to get any of the DFACS records?
No.
Did you know Tessa Daniel prior to fostering Millie and her sisters?
No.
Did you know Millie or her sisters' biological fathers prior to fostering Millie and her sisters?
No.
And did you know Peggy Banks prior to fostering Millie?
No.
Since fostering Millie and then adopting Millie, have you met Tessa Banks?
Briefly, yes, briefly in Port. We have had email conversations.
And since fostering and adopting Millie, have you had conversations with Peggy Banks?
Yes.
Now, when Millie first came to live with you, what kind of child was she?
Sweet, energetic. She had trust issues. She had a very hard time just trusting almost anything. I think rightfully so. She loved being with her sisters and was great to, help take care of them, per se. She would have some attention-seeking behaviors. I think coming now all of a sudden being back in the oldest of 2 and, just wanting to have my attention, at times and as I think a typical 6-year-old will do, go get it any way they can get it.
And what kind of things would she do to get your behavior?
She would just, wouldn't maybe do something when I asked her to do it, or if I would tell her to go brush her teeth or get in the shower, or, pick up her clothes or her toys. Or she would tell me she did do those things, and then I would, of course, come to find the clothes still on the floor, or her toothbrush was dry, things like that.
Now, what does Millie do, or how does she act when she gets nervous?
She gets this kind of funny or, giggle, laugh. She tends to make grand gestures when she's lying. And she talks. She either goes really quiet or she tries to overtalk.
So you've seen Millie do a giggle or a laugh when she gets nervous?
Yes.
Now, how often have you and Millie talked about the death of her sister Laila, as well as Millie's experiences at the Rosenbaums?
Very rarely. It's definitely something that she does not want to talk about. I don't push the issue. We talk about Laila all the time. But we just don't talk about her experiences.
When you talk about Laila, what kind of things are you talking about?
She'll tell me about things that Laila liked to do, what she was like, and she'll just tell stories of they would read, she would read a book, to Laila, those kind of things.
And how come Millie doesn't like talking about her experience at the Rosenbaums?
I would object that it's a question that can be answered by a third party. Why Millie wouldn't do something or would feel a certain way. That's asking for speculation.
The witness may have firsthand knowledge from Millie.
I'll sustain the objection.
Now, has Millie ever told you anything about what happened to her while living at the Rosenbaums?
She has made a couple brief statements, throughout the course of our time together.
Now, how would these statements begin? How would they come up?
Very, very random. Looking back, I still can't ever think about how it would come up. We may just be in the car and she would just make a statement, or we might be talking about something, we want for dinner, and then she'll go into why she doesn't want something. But then she makes a statement and moves on.
Have you ever asked her directly about what happened at the Rosenbaums?
No.
And when Millie would make these statements, would you ask her questions?
No.
What exactly has Millie told you about what happened to her at the Rosenbaums?
She's, I think, mentioned 4 different things that had happened. One of them being that she and Laila would get in trouble if they fell asleep in the car, and they would receive spankings if they would get in trouble and or receive spankings if they ever fell asleep in the car.
Did she tell you anything else?
She said at one time she wasn't doing something fast enough, so Jennifer twisted her ankle and sat on her.
When she told you this, did you ask her any more questions?
I didn't, because I have no information as to what happened, and I mean, never having, a child this age, especially a child with trauma, I didn't want to ever make it worse. I didn't want to make her talk about something, because when she would make these statements, it was a one and done. She would say it, and before she could finish that sentence, she had already changed the subject, and it was clear she did not want to talk about it.
And what was the 4th thing that she told you about?
Spankings. But she had said at one point that she was forced to eat mashed potatoes until she vomited, and then was forced to eat the vomit.
And how did that statement come up?
We were talking about things, always trying to come up with different things to have for dinner. It becomes challenging that you have 3 kids that will eat. So I'm always trying to get them to tell me things that they like, because if they tell me they like it, then they can't sit at the table and tell me they don't. And so we talked about potatoes, and, does she like potatoes of any kind? And she said, no.
And that's when this topic of mashed potatoes came up. Now, other than what Millie has told you, do you know anything else about how Millie was injured at the Rosenbaums?
No.
And other than what Millie has told you, do you know anything else about Laila's death?
Obviously when this first happened, I definitely followed along any media coverage, any, articles in the newspaper, anything that was published, when it happened.
Have you ever told Millie about what you learned in the media?
No.
Now, you've been in the courtroom for most of this trial, and at any point have you gone home and told Millie about what you've heard in court?
No.
Have you ever gone home and questioned Millie about things that were said in court?
No. One thing, I do want to say one thing. We did talk about procedural. She would ask what happened, and I would be like, we selected a jury today, or we listened to people talk, but never anything that was said. But we did talk about picking jury.
And why have you been in the courtroom for most of the trial?
Because I'm her mother.
And have you been able to learn some information about Millie's past since being in the courtroom?
Mm-hmm.
And is that important to you?
Very. It's hard to not know, what your child's been through.
Now, at the time that Millie came to live with you, was she seeing a therapist named Ann McCullough?
She was.
And when Millie came to live with you, did you continue to take her to see Ann?
I did.
And was there a time when you, Millie, and Millie's great-grandmother, Peggy Banks, met with Miss McCullough?
We did.
And how did that meeting come about?
In just kind of passing, I felt that Millie may see Peggy and I, having kind of a loyalty issue, and I thought that if she could see Peggy and I together as a united front, wanting nothing but the best for her, that might help her, just feel better, just when she gets uneven about things and the transition.
And during that meeting, did you go through Millie's different placements with her?
Yes, because I had no, concrete knowledge of her background.
And was Peggy Banks the one that kind of gave you that information?
She did. Mm-hmm.
And during that meeting, did you ever discuss or Millie ever talk about her time at the Rosenbaums?
Not, that wasn't talked about in the sessions that I was part of, other than their place in the timeline.
Why did, at some point did Millie stop seeing Ann McCullough?
Yes. Ann's office is in McDonough. We live in Noonan. So it just wasn't, after a while, it just became troublesome to drive that far, each and every week when I could find something closer.
And how far was the drive from your place to Ann's?
I think it was about an hour. We would come from different places from school or whatnot, but I think it was roughly an hour.
And you would be doing that about once a week?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if Millie told Ann anything about the death of her sister?
I believe she did, yes.
But you don't know
I don't know any specifics as to what was said.
Do you know what, if anything, Millie told Ann about herself living with the Rosenbaums, her experience?
I know that she did, but I don't know the specifics as to what she said.
When did Millie stop seeing Ann?
I believe it was in March of 18.
And after March of 2018, did Millie see another therapist?
A couple months later, we started up with one closer to home.
So that would be approximately May of 2018?
I believe we started in July of 18.
And what was the reason that you took Millie to see Donna, the other therapist?
Honestly, she had been, in counseling for, so long. What little I did hear about what she had been through, I felt anyone would need continued counseling and therapy. And so I felt it was best to continue what she had already been.
And at that time, were you also seeking some guidance or help in how to parent a 6-year-old?
Yes. My situation's a little bit more unique. I didn't have any children of my own before I started fostering. So I was learning day by day as the little ones were getting older. And then when Millie came, I had never parented a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6-year-old, let alone a child with trauma in her history, that I wanted to make sure that I was doing it right. And I wasn't, I don't think any parent knows what they're doing, but I wanted to make sure I was overly cautious that I wasn't going to cause her any trauma or anything like that.
And how often would Millie see Donna?
I would say on average 3 times a month. Schedules would come up and, but I would say on average 3 times.
And what, if any, concerns did you bring to Donna's attention?
Similar to the ones I, mentioned before, attention-seeking behaviors, getting into, Millie telling lies and just, why not brush your teeth? How do I, turn this around so we can, just get to doing things maybe the first or second time I ask her to do it versus the 5th or 6th.
And was Donna able to teach you some techniques on how to handle or parent a 6-year-old?
Yeah, she would always have, ideas for whatever. Because I would just ask, almost any time she came, I would have some sort of scenario that I'd be like, what do you think?
So she came, where did the sessions take place?
She would come to the house. She came to our house.
And was there a time that Millie discussed Laila's death at school?
Yes.
And was that brought to your attention?
It was.
And was this discussion brought to Donna's attention?
It was.
And how come you brought it to Donna's attention?
Because Millie doesn't talk about what happened. So anytime she does, I feel the door is open and I want to know, is there a reason, was there a trigger that brought her that wanted to talk about it? What caused it? And if she wanted to talk about it now, I wanted to make sure she had the avenues to do it in the best way for her.
Did you talk to Millie about that conversation she had at school about Laila's death?
I did.
And was Millie able to tell you why she discussed Laila's death?
It started with a prayer request at school that morning, and there was, some of her classmates were sharing, a passing of a grandparent or a sick family member, and I think she wanted to participate in the conversation.
And why was this conversation concerning to you?
It's very heavy information for children. I was, concerned that Millie was now wanting to talk about it, but unfortunately, it wasn't with appropriate people.
And what exactly did Millie say to her classmates?
She told them that her sister was killed. I think that it kind of had come up in multiple times throughout the day. So, I don't have the order of what was said and when, but I was told that she had said that her sister was killed. Her sister had been choked, one point choked on chicken, that I believe she said organs had been split into,
And
cut in half, maybe.
Cut in half, okay. And when you first approached Millie about what she had told her classmates, did she deny that she had said it?
Yes.
And at that point, did you have a conversation with her about being honest with you?
Yes.
And at some point, did she eventually tell you? what she
Eventually.
said?
Mm-hmm.
And during that conversation, let me ask you this: is Millie, in your experience, able to distinguish what she's heard and what she's personally observed with her own eyes?
I think so.
You know, the judge speculation and asking for a conclusion she can possibly know what hears or observes.
As based on her personal knowledge.
You don't know this.
Was Millie able to tell you how she knew the information that she told you about her sister's death?
When it kind of came down to it, she was like, well, I think I heard that.
And as of today's date, does Millie still continue to see Donna?
Yes, she does.
And do you at all know Jennifer Rosenbaum?
No, do you know?
And do you at all know Joseph Rosenbaum?
No.
Do you have any relationship with any of Millie or her other sister's family members?
No.
Thank you. No more questions.
Cross.
Good morning, Ms. Harrell. I just have a number of questions for you. My name is Kareem Mo. You've been sitting in the courtroom since the beginning of trial, haven't you?
I have.
So you've heard what all the witnesses have said, you've seen all the pictures, you have listened to you've seen all the exhibits that have been filed. And it's true, isn't it, that when you, excuse me just a second, let me just check on a page on this. Staring me in the face. You had an occasion with Millie where Hannah, and Hannah is Merci, isn't it?
Yes.
That was her name by her biological mother was Merci.
Yes.
And she's now Hannah.
She is.
There was a time where you were exposed to the fact that Hannah fell down or hurt herself, was pushed, and had some bruising, and that Millie was the one who had pushed her, correct?
I don't remember that specifically.
You don't remember ever reporting to DFACS that Hannah had gotten hurt, and none of the girls would tell you how it happened. She did.
Oh, okay, I know, yes.
So that did happen?
Yes.
Okay. And so none of the girls would tell you what happened, including Millie, and
In the beginning.
in the beginning, and then ultimately she fessed up to the fact that she had lied.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you had lots of diaper rashes with the girls that you have now, the two younger ones, sisters of Millie.
Carly
Yes.
had several diaper rashes.
Okay. Now, with regards to Donna Wazorek, it's fair to say, isn't it, that basically she was brought into the picture to help Millie prepare for trial?
No.
No.
That is something that would have been discussed, but that's not the reason.
So that was not one of the reasons?
No.
And isn't it true that Donna Resort has attempted to prepare her for trial?
Depends on what you mean by prepare. They have talked about it, that she needs to get up here and be honest.
And has been a problem for Millie all along, not just while you've had her, correct?
As far as lying,
Yes.
I would say about little things, brushing her hair.
But you don't know her history other than the time she has been with you, correct?
I do not know.
And it's fair to say that great-grandma has a great deal of influence on Millie, correct?
I would say while she was living with her.
And Millie and her great-grandmother would have conversations, isn't that correct?
I'm not privy to the conversations they had.
But you were privy to the results of those conversations, weren't you? You were privy to the fact that,
If she wasn't aware of the conversation, she couldn't agree to the results.
well, the results of the conversations with Millie, with her grandmother, how Millie acted when she was back home.
That's what you're getting?
Yes, I'll rephrase.
Okay, thank you.
Your daughter, Millie, had problems with lying. You
Yes.
say about little things.
Little things,
Lying.
yes.
She also had a problem with doing what her grandmother told her she could do and you told her she could not do, correct?
Can you give me an example?
I know I can't give you an example, I'm asking you a question. Isn't it true that her grandmother would tell her things that you then would object to?
Oh, yes, I thought you meant telling her she could do something and I was telling her she couldn't do something.
You had issues with what was going on with her grandmother.
Yes, there was a few things I had issues with.
And in fact, those were discussed with Donna Resort, and Donna Resort being the therapist. And there were requests that when Millie was with her great-grandmother or her mother during the visitation period with her mother, that they have appropriate conversations, that they not engage in inappropriate conversations.
Well, I can't, are you saying when she visitations with Tessa?
Yes.
Millie did not have any visitations once she moved in with me, so I
You
can't
don't
say
know
that.
that.
But no, I definitely, asked Peggy to have, be mindful of when Millie was around and what was said in front of her.
And in fact, she was telling things about both the Rosenbaums and Millie and Layla's family.
I wasn't there, so I can't say for sure.
Okay. What was it that you were seeing that caused you to tell Peggy that you did not want her having these conversations with her?
One of them was saying that the only reason I wanted Millie to come and live with me was so the two younger sisters would stay with me.
And that you knew to be a lie.
It was because I said yes, from the night Laila died and several times after that for Millie to come live with us.
So to your knowledge, Peggy did in fact tell her that, she lied.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can't say that Peggy was lying because I don't know if she knew until much later into this process and Millie was living with me that I had mentioned all the times that I wanted Millie to come be with us. And she seemed surprised. So I don't know when she said those things. I just know that I had a problem with her saying that to Millie.
One of the treatment goals was to significantly reduce the frequency or eliminate lying altogether, wasn't it?
No parent wants their child to lie. So yes, that was absolutely a goal.
Yes.
Yes.
The answer.
Yes.
And she was getting in trouble at school for lying, correct?
Once, twice maybe?
She was getting in trouble at school. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Now, you would hear what she had to say to Donna Resort.
Not all the time. No, I was there for some sessions and other sessions they went
But
out.
you were there for some sessions.
Some of them, yes.
And it's true that one day you felt she made some statements that caused you to follow Donna Resort out the door and tell her that you had concerns that some of the memories Millie was having were not true, were not correct.
I remember saying that I was under the impression something different happened. But again, I had no knowledge of specifically what happened. So every time the sessions were over, I went outside with Donna to recap.
Okay, well, I'm asking you a question, a very specific question. Did you go outside and say to Donna Resort that you were concerned the memories Millie was speaking about were not true? Did you on that one day do that?
I don't remember specifically that day, but it is possible, yes.
It's possible.
Yes, absolutely.
There also were instances that Donna and you discussed where you felt that she made up her own past experiences, correct?
Yes.
And you don't know really how she was at age 3 or 4. You just know her from 6. So you don't know what her history was for lying back then.
No, I do not.
I'm going to show you what I... 14 and 15. I'm going to show you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 15 and ask you if you can identify this.
Yes, that is a picture of Carly and Millie at the girls' birthday party at my house for Hannah and Carly.
I will tender Defense Exhibit 15 into evidence, Your Honor, at this time.
No objection.
Exhibit E15?
May I publish?
This is an image of minor, so that's going to help you videotape.
Okay.
If we could get the lights, I'd appreciate that. Is this an accurate picture of Millie at what age?
That would have been, that was the girl's first and second birthday, so she would have been 6.
So who would she have been living with at the time?
Peggy Banks.
Okay. And these bruises we see on her legs, what, did you question anybody about them?
No,
Did you report them to DFACS?
no.
Thank you. I'm looking for on this picture. We'll show you Defendant's 14 and see if you can identify that for us.
That is a picture in one of her classmates, of Millie in one of her classmates.
Is this a bump on her head?
No,
It's not.
no,
You didn't report that to anyone.
no. And she was adopted at them, so I don't need to report it to anyone if there was a bump.
Okay, but as there was, if there was a bump, isn't it true that what we're seeing is in fact the highlight caused by the light?
Well, I'm not sure I don't see anything on there, so I'm not sure.
The light colored, if I may.
Yes. I'm not sure that's anything.
This right here is caused by the light, isn't it?
Okay,
This is light bouncing off of her, isn't it?
okay, yeah.
I have nothing further. Oh, one last question. Let me show you what's going on with Defendant 16. Can you identify this picture for us?
Yes, that is Hannah and a family friend.
And Hannah is, again, just for the record, the child that was named in your seat,
Yes.
correct? At this time, Your Honor, I would tender into evidence Defendant's Exhibit 16.
You're missing address to relevancy.
And it's not
a child that issue.
And family friend?
Yes.
Your Honor, this goes to, again, to lineage and to show certainly some of the features of the child that are similar to the features in Laila. And just want to show them at the same age as Laila.
Well, the relevant standard is not high. I'll admit it, what's worth.
Thank you, Your Honor. What age, if I may, Your Honor, if you're admitting Defendant 16,
I am.
may I publish?
You may.
What age is this picture of Hannah?
I don't remember specifically when it was taken. I would say maybe a little less than a year.
A little less than a year.
Maybe, somewhere right around her first birthday.
And she looks different now, doesn't she?
She's older.
And her face is grown out. She's grown out of the baby fat in her face.
Well, she still has chubby cheeks.
But she doesn't have cheeks that look like this right now, do they?
It might be slightly different.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Which one lights better?
Yes, Your Honor. Based on your experience with now parenting young children, do young children sometimes lie?
Yes.
And when Millie would tell you lies, those would be about little things, as you said.
Yes.
And your concerns regarding some of the things that either Millie said, that's not necessarily the same thing as them being untrue, is it?
Yes.
Now, Millie got in trouble, I believe you indicated maybe 2 times for lying at school. What grade is Millie in now?
She'll be going into second grade.
Second grade. Second or third?
No, she's going into second grade.
So she's been at school kindergarten, first grade, second grade,
She's going into second grade.
and she's got in trouble twice for lying?
That, yes, specifically.
And what were those?
The only one that I remember specifically was something to do with classwork, and she was supposed to be going and doing classwork. She grabbed one of the classroom iPads and was in with another group that she was supposed to be. She was supposed to be in a different group, and she was saying that she didn't know that she was supposed to be in that group, in a different group than where she was. And so the teacher was like, "I know I told you, so you do know." And she
Like the teacher said, that's when it was.
Sustained.
So in all those 3 years, that was the lie she got in
the ones that I
trouble.
can, that come to mind, yeah.
And when Millie pushed Hannah, did Hannah have any injuries?
She might have had a bump.
Anything that you had to take her to the hospital for? Do the siblings sometimes fight?
Yes.
I'll put on the overhead what's been marked as State's Exhibit 78. Did Millie ever come back from Peggy Banks's home with that type of bruise?
No.
If you had seen that type of bruise on Millie when she came home from Peggy Banks's, would you have taken her to the hospital?
Yes.
Would you have made a report?
Yes.
Would you have been concerned?
Yes.
And I'll show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 80. Did Millie ever come from Peggy Banks with injuries like that?
No.
Has Millie ever had a type of injury like that in your care?
No.
If you had ever seen an injury like that on Millie or any of your other children, would you have been concerned?
Absolutely.
Would you have made a report?
Absolutely.
Would you have taken them to the hospital?
Absolutely.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You objection, this witness being excused.
No, Your Honor.
Let's go ahead and take our 15-minute morning break, and then we'll come back. Thank you.
This is Nick. I just wanted to go back about one thing from the 2004 application. Is it safe to say that that 2014 application just kind of fizzled out and didn't go anywhere, correct?
Yes.
There wasn't an outright denial, just kind of fizzled out and nothing ever happened with it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to the 2015 application, I think we left off with you were running the background and you got you put in the social security number and date of birth, is that correct?
Yes.
And from that, you got a DFACS history associated with Jennifer Rosenbaum, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, anyone who is who's ever been in DFACS custody had the DFACS history, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so is it protocol for whenever there's a DFACS history, that whatever it is, it has to be reviewed?
Yes.
Okay. And at any point, did you receive a call from Jennifer Rosenbaum?
Yes, I did.
Okay. At that point, had you had an opportunity to review any of the DFACS history?
No.
And when Ms. Rosenbaum called you, what did she say when she called you?
She wanted to know why it's taking long to send her letter to come to attend impact class.
Okay. And what was her demeanor on the phone with you?
It wasn't very nice.
And so you stated that she wasn't very nice, correct?
Yes.
Did you explain to her though that you were still in the process of reviewing the application?
Yes.
And what did she say to you?
She said that I don't know who she is. She used to be at a friend's house, and I said, well, I need to review the case. I need to review the history before we can make any determination on this. And then she went ahead to tell me that she worked at the DA's office, that she knows everybody there. So I don't know who I am really dealing with. So when she finished, she hung up the phone.
So she hung up the phone on you?
Yes.
All right. The next time that you heard about Jennifer Rosenbaum, is it safe to say that the children were being placed with the Rosenbaums at that point?
Yes.
Did you approve that placement?
No.
And was it your job at the Henry County DFACS to approve the foster placement and fictive kin placements?
Yes, yeah.
Did Jennifer and Joseph complete the requirements, and more specifically, I'm talking about that impact class that we talked about?
Not to my knowledge.
Did anyone else even teach that class besides you at that point?
In Henry County, I'm the only one that teaches the class.
And they did not attend that class, correct?
No.
And you said it was a 12-week class?
Yes.
All right. You would remember them, correct?
Yes.
All right. To your knowledge, the home study was not completed, correct?
No.
All right. Not one that at least came to your attention, correct?
No.
All right. So it's safe to say they didn't go through all the normal channels to get the kids placed in their home, correct?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Just briefly, Mr. Becca.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
name is Kareem Mall. If I don't speak loud enough, let me know.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just a little confused. There were two applications, one in 2014,
Yes, ma'am.
where she applied in her maiden name,
Yes, ma'am.
and one in 2015,
Yes, ma'am.
where it was both Joseph and her.
Yes, ma'am.
And in 2014 is the one where you checked and found out that she had been in foster care, correct?
Yes.
And that you needed to look into the foster care some more
Yes.
in 2014.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was in 2014 that she called you and said, "What's going on? Why is it taking so long?"
2015.
2015.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's your testimony here today that there was never a home study done on their house.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And it's possible, isn't it, that you just wouldn't know about it if there was one?
Yes. I will know. If
You
there's-
would know?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So if there is one and you don't know about it, what does that mean?
There's all the foster homes go through me.
Okay.
So I approve them and I monitor them.
Okay. And so you have not approved or monitored these folks?
No.
So somebody else in DFACS has been monitoring these folks, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so to your knowledge, they were not under DFACS supervision?
Your Honor, let me explain how this goes. If your home is approved as a foster home, you have a DFACS worker that comes to your home quarterly to make sure that your home is in good standing to continue to be a foster home. If the children are placed in your home as a foster parent, there have to be a case worker that comes to your home every month to monitor the kids.
Now, was there a caseworker going to their home?
Your Honor,
This is your honor is up front. I'm just Korean wrong.
sorry, Ms. Karim. As of that time, I should believe there is a caseworker that's monitoring the kids. Because their home is not approved as a foster home, I am not aware of how they got the kids.
Okay. So if there was a home study, you don't know about it, correct?
There's no home study.
Okay. If there was but if there was one, you don't know about it, correct?
I should know about it
I
because
understand you should know about it. We all understand that. But you don't know about it, correct?
I don't know. There's no home study.
Now, you were saying that in 2015, she called about why it was taking so long?
Yes.
But in 2015, you say that you did not, that application did not go forward, did it?
It went through, but we haven't reviewed the history.
Okay. So in 2014, you didn't review the fact that her foster care history, and 2015, you didn't review her foster care history.
Then we started the process, and then it fizzled out.
I just asked if you could answer yes or no and then explain to your heart's content, okay? 2014, it fizzled out, right?
Yes.
It was not denied, it just fizzled out.
Yes.
And she didn't call you, according to you.
Yes.
And she called you in 2015.
Yes.
That's according to you.
Yes.
So we understand each other. And you're saying that she called you because it wasn't going fast.
Yes.
And your testimony here today is that application didn't go through either, 2015.
2015, the application is in the process of going through, but I don't know what happened. The lesson I had, they got the children. So I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Brooker.
Mr. Dicko, is it safe to say that in 2015, the application didn't go through the normal process?
Yes, it didn't go through the normal process.
Okay. And if there was a home study, it did not come through you?
No.
Okay, and it should have, correct?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Isn't it true, Mr. Dicko, that fictive kin are treated differently than regular foster parents?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dicko.
Anything else?
Nothing stated.
Thank you. You can accept that. Any objection to this witness being excused?
Nothing stated.
On the defense? All right, she's excused. Okay, the state will call its next witness.
State will call Patricia Lambert.
Patricia Lambert.
If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth and the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please lower your hand if you could slide up to the mic a little bit. You can put your hand down. Please state and spell your first and last name.
Patricia Lambert, Patricia Lambert, Lambert.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lambert. Ms. Lambert, are you a foster parent in Henry County?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been a foster parent in Henry County?
Almost 10 years.
And did you go through the process of becoming a foster parent during 10 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
And what classes, if any, did you have to take?
I have to go through 5 more classes that we do every Saturday for 20 years.
If you can speak up a little bit.
We do have to go through a 5-hour class,
And do you recall the name of that class?
impact training.
And is there any other classes or training that you had to have to be a foster parent?
Oh, sure. You have to be consistent, periodically going for training.
And how often do you have to go in for training?
We have to present 15 hours per year.
And in July of 2015, did you have Millie Place and Laila Daniel placed in your home?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall who informed you that they would be placed in your home?
Ms. Jimsy Odipo,
And when they were placed in your home, did you pick them up or were they brought to you?
they were brought to me.
Do you recall who brought them to you?
I think it's Samantha White.
At the time that Millie Place and Laila Daniel are given to you, are you given any information in regards to their history or their background?
Not really.
Is that unusual for DFACS?
It is. It is.
And who was Samantha White at that time?
I think she was the acting caseworker in the case.
At any point, did you get, who would you normally get the information, I guess, background information on the kids from? Where would that normally come from?
I would ask the question because a lot of time when the kids come into care, the caseworker does not know everything. So as you go along, you will try to find out.
And who would you ask questions to?
The caseworker,
Okay. And did you eventually get some information about Laila and Millie?
a little bit.
And the information that you had, why were Laila and Millie in care?
I was told that the mom was having some problems with drugs.
And do you recall how long did Laila and Millie stay in your home?
They were placed in my home on June 12th, and they were removed on July 24th.
Do you recall who the where they were coming from? Were they coming from their biological parents? Were they coming from foster care or shelter? Did you know where they had been prior to coming into your home?
I was told they was placed in a foster home before.
Okay. And do you know who that foster home, or who ran that foster home? Whose foster home was it?
Well, the name that was given to me was Loretta Brown.
Did you know Narita Brown at all?
No, ma'am.
Once the girls were placed in your home, did you have any contact or communication with Ms. Brown?
Twice.
And what was the reason for that communication? And let me ask you, how did y'all communicate? Was it in person, over the phone, text messages? How did that communication happen?
Over the phone.
And did you call her or did she call you?
She was just calling to check on the kids because they were removed from her home. She was just concerned.
And was she allowed to talk to the girls when she called on those 2 occasions?
No, ma'am.
And why not?
I guess defects had the reason. I didn't know why.
Were you informed whether or not Ms. Brown could have contact with the girls?
After 2 phone calls, it's my duty to report to the caseworker who is calling to talk to them. And once I reported that, they asked to cease communication, so I did.
And you did. Can you describe how, when Laila and Millie came into your home, do you have, I guess, a proper a procedure that you follow when you have kids placed in your home?
I mean, it depends on the age group.
Okay. How were Millie and Laila when they came in here? To your home?
Millie was 4 and Laila was 2.
And for kids that age, what would you do when they came into your home?
I mean, you let them be kids. I mean, you clear the room and make sure they have a place to play.
And did you do that for them?
Yes, ma'am.
What was their behavior like when they were staying with you?
Typical 2-year and 4-year-old. Play rough, grab onto each other, fight for the toys. That's what the 2-year-old do.
When they would be playing rough and fighting over toys, did they ever get injured anyway?
No, ma'am.
Ever have any bruises or broken bones as a result of that playing rough?
No, ma'am.
During the time that the girls were with you, were you able to observe their eating habits?
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me about Millie. How was her eating habits?
She would eat, but not as much as Laila.
So how was Layla's eating habits?
A food junkie. She loves sweets.
So if she was hungry, how would she tell you that she wanted something to eat?
She would say to me, Ma, eat, eat. You know, she would do this to her mouth.
She would take her hand and put it up to your
Yes,
mouth, is what
yes,
you're
ma'am.
indicating?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know sign language at all?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you take that as being a form of sign language for the word eat?
No, being a typical 2-year-old, they cannot speak properly. So you have to adapt.
During the time that Layla and Millie were in your home, did they ever go to daycare at all?
No, ma'am.
Who would care for them during the time they were with you?
I would.
When they came into your home, did you observe any bruises or injuries on them when they were placed with you on June 12th?
No, ma'am.
And did you have any issues in regards to Millie and telling lies?
Typical 4-year-old. They tell stories to get what they want. But I would not consider that a lie.
And were they receiving any type of counseling when they were in your home?
I do have one counselor came by to check on them both.
Do you recall what that counselor's name was?
Not exactly, but I did remember what I told her.
What did you tell that counselor?
I just let her know she was questioning the way they get along, the way they interact with each other. And I said, just let her know. Typical 2-year-old, you take her stuff, she would grab it from you. That's what kids do.
Did you tell that counselor that Layla would scratch or bite
Yes, I did.
when she got upset?
Yes, I did.
And when you was describing that, was that your way of describing this typical 2-year-old behavior?
Response.
I'll rephrase. When you were describing her biting and scratching when she would get upset, what type of behavior were you describing?
Just playful. I mean, she played with her sister.
And when Layla would bite and scratch, did she ever break the skin, cause enough damage where they would challenge to go to the doctor or the hospital?
No, ma'am.
And you said that the counselor came out. How many times to your home did she come out?
Probably once or twice.
Did you tell her anything about Millie?
No, really, don't.
Do you recall speaking to her about Millie's maturity?
But yeah, in conversation. You
And
know,
what did you tell her about Millie's maturity?
sometimes she act grown. You know, all grown up little girls like to do that.
And what did you mean by she acted grown?
You know, she would, if I could act it out, but she would like put her hands on her side and, you know, just do stuff like that. Just act like it.
Did you mean it in a negative way?
Oh, no, never.
And what about Miss White? Did you have any communication with Miss White during the time that the girls were in your home?
Constantly.
Okay. And how would that communication occur? Was that in person or over the phone or something else?
Well, some in person, some over the phone.
Did she make, when it was in person, where would that be?
At my home or at the office.
About how many times did Miss White come to your home?
Not often.
Would it be more than once?
More than once.
More than 3 times?
Probably about 3.
And when Miss White would come to your home, what would happen?
Well, I would discuss, you know, as I'm telling you right now, I would discuss eating habits, the way they play, how rough they play. Just simple.
Would Miss White do an examination of the girls when she came to visit?
No, Mom, I would do it in front of her.
When you say you would do it, what do you mean?
In training, we was taught if you have children under the age of 5, whenever the caseworker come to visit, their job is to strip them down because they cannot talk for themselves, or to explain any injuries they might be having. So we would typically undress them for the diaper up, just so the caseworker could have a look to see if there are any bruises, any breaking of the skin, or anything like that.
And was Miss White doing her job in respect to that?
Not in my opinion.
When the girls were with you, did you have occasion to have to take them to the doctor or hospital or anything?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the process in regards to doctor's visits?
Doctor visit, you have to have like, well, they give you a form to fill out. One of the main thing you must have is a placement letter.
And did you have a placement letter for the girls?
Yes, ma'am.
And once you got that placement letter, what did you do with it?
Well, I keep it in a file. I start building a file from there.
Did you ever have to take them to the doctor?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall when it was and which girl you took to the doctor?
The first child I took to the doctor was Laila, and it was on June 13th.
And what was the reason for that you took Laila to the doctor on June the 13th?
I took her to the doctor because I received a call from Ms. Rosenbaum, who had taken them to spend a day with her, and she called and said that Laila started throwing up and, you know, she couldn't deal with it, so would I come back and get her? So I met her at the McDonald's right in Henry County here, Heritage Park, take her and I brought her straight to the hospital because just receiving them the day before, didn't know anything about the history, I didn't know what it was, so to be safe, I took her to the emergency room.
So I want to make sure I understand you. So you received the girls on June the 12th?
Mm-hmm.
And when was this hospital visit?
June the 13th.
And you indicated Ms. Rosenbaum. Did you know Ms. Rosenbaum at that time?
No, ma'am.
What was the reason that Ms. Rosenbaum had Laila? Did she also have Millie as well?
She had them both, and I was told by the caseworker that she would be the permanent home for the girls. So she would be coming and take them to visit periodically.
And how did, on June the 13th, was there a visitation with Ms. Rosenbaum?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did that come about? How were you informed that there would be a visitation?
From Samantha White.
And you said that at some point you got a call from Ms. Rosenbaum.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go pick up the children?
Yes, ma'am.
And where did you go at that point?
I took her straight to the emergency room.
And what happened when you got to the emergency room?
Well, the doctor that saw her said that she was.
You're not object to what the doctor said, that's per se, and I believe Dr. Boyd testified, so.
Well, Your Honor, she would have to give a history as for medical treatment that she was given. But I'll move on.
This is what the doctor said to her, a sting injection.
I'm moving on.
Okay.
Were you given any, what happened during that doctor's visit? Not telling me what anybody said.
Okay, she had an examination done. The doctor prescribed that little tiny tablet, can't recall the name, asked me to, if she's continued to throw up, put half of it under her tongue, which is 2 milligrams, so she wouldn't, keep throwing up all the time.
And did you do that?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because being a 2-year-old, putting a tiny pill like that, she could swallow it, it could get stuck in the throat. So I just decided to buy her some Pedialyte and to help her from stopping throwing up.
When Laila was with you, did you ever have any issues with her, any medical concerns about her breathing, her holding her breath or gasping for air?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever have any issues with her breaking out in rashes or hives or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Now, you said that she was having visitations with the Rosenbaums. Did she have visitation with anyone else during the time that she was with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was that?
Her great-grandmother, Miss Banks, Peggy Banks.
And how often would Miss Banks visit with them?
Well, she would probably have them one weekend and Jennifer would have them the other.
I'm sorry, you said she would have them one weekend and you kind of trailed off.
I said Miss Rosenbaum would have them the other.
So they would alternate weekends?
Yes, ma'am.
And when they had them, were these overnight stays or were they day visits?
No, just day visits.
When the girls would come back from visiting with Miss Banks, what would you do?
Just look at the behavior.
And when you would look at them, what were you looking for?
Any signs of changes?
And did you see any signs of changes when they would come back from visiting with Miss Banks?
Well, maybe we come back with a little attitude, which I suggest children imitate what they see. So,
Can you make sure you keep your voice up?
sorry. She would come back with a little attitude, and as I said, children imitate what they see.
And would you address that with Millie or with Miss Banks?
Both.
How did you address it?
But I would talk to Millie, and one of the words I often use, I would not tolerate any foolishness. And what I did, I would eventually meet Miss Banks in person, have a conversation with her to find out, what is she doing when the kids is over there.
And when you talked with Miss Banks, did the behavior stop?
She did.
And when Miss Banks would have her visitations, who would she be visiting with?
Sometimes she would bring, I think it's her sister with her, because she only used to be taking up Millie. And then, I just had a conversation. I said, listen, there's both of your grandkids. If you can't have one, you can't have the other. So she started taking both.
Did she give you any explanation as to why she was only getting Millie?
Yes, ma'am.
And what explanation did she give you?
Because of her condition, she was walking with a stick, so she couldn't manage both at the same time.
Did she ever tell you anything about not liking Laila?
Never.
Did she tell you anything about Laila being a drug baby?
No.
And you said Millie would come back with a little attitude. Was there anything else that you would be looking for or checking for when the girls came back from visits with Miss Banks?
Obviously. Any bruises, any unusual marks she didn't live with?
And did you find any of those when she came back from her visits?
No, ma'am.
And you said that with the Rosenbaums, did you ever meet Joseph Rosenbaum?
Twice.
And where did you meet Mr. Rosenbaum?
At my home.
And did you have any conversation with him?
Just, yeah.
And what did you discuss with Joseph Rosenbaum?
One of the questions was asking him, are you ready for fatherhood? And he was saying, that he worked long hours, he comes home late. So most of the time, Miss Rosenbaum would be the one being with the kids.
And did you have a conversation with Ms. Rosenbaum about the girls at all?
Yeah, we talk as regular.
And what was your conversation with her about the girls when you would speak with her?
Well, since that she would be the one who would be caring for them permanently, one of the things I try to do is kind of really discuss, little behaviors, things that they like, things that we do, That's what was the main thing.
Did you ever have a conversation about her relationship with Tessa Daniel?
No, Mom, I didn't know who was Tessa.
Did you ever give Ms. Rosenbaum or tell her or Joseph Rosenbaum by any means any information about the girl's background with their biological parents?
That I would not know.
So would it be fair to say you didn't have any information to give?
Yes, ma'am, none at all.
Did you ever have any conversation with Jennifer Rosenbaum in regards to Peggy Banks?
Yes, we did, on many occasions.
And what did Jennifer Rosenbaum tell you about Peggy Banks?
She was one of the person who related to me that Ms. Banks did not want to have anything to do with Laila.
That was told to you by Jennifer Rosenbaum?
Yes, ma'am.
What else did she tell you about Ms. Banks?
She didn't like black people. She did not like black people.
That Ms. Banks.
Yes.
And did she tell you where that information came from?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever address that with Ms. Banks?
Sure I did.
What did you, how did you address it with Ms. Banks?
I just met her one of the days when she came to pick me up. I let her know. I said, listen, I say, I do what I do because I love doing what I do. And I don't care if the child is green, pink, yellow, purple. I don't see color. I'm here to help.
And what was Ms. Banks' response?
She was very remorseful. She said to me that she never, ever, ever mentioned anything like that to Jennifer.
And you said that, was there any other visits after that June 13th visit with the Rosenbaums?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did that next visit occur?
Probably like the following week.
Let me ask you something. When a kid comes into your home, do you do anything to memorialize it or document it?
Oh, sure.
What do you do?
Well, first of all, the placement letter is the first thing placed in the file. Anything after that, any bruises, doctor visits, anything. Make 2 copies, one for the caseworker and one to keep in my personal file.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 118 and previously shown to Defense Counsel. Do you recognize States Exhibit 118?
Yes, ma'am.
And how are you able to recognize it?
It's my handwriting.
And where is that from?
That's from my home. That notes that document while Laila and Millie was in my home.
Have you had an opportunity to look over that States Exhibit number 118?
Yes, ma'am.
Have there been any additions or deletions made to it?
No, ma'am.
The statement asks the States Exhibit 118 be entered into evidence. Would that assist you in regards to dates when the girls were having visitations with the Rosenbaums?
Yeah, well, I don't need it.
I'll leave it there just in case. When was the next visit after June the 13th that the girls had a visit?
It's been weekly after that, every weekend.
And what date would that have been, the next visit?
Probably like a week prior.
So if it was the 13th, it was a week later?
Yes, ma'am.
If you can look, did you date that at all in your journal?
I didn't date the every weekend dates. What I do date is when stuff's still happening.
Oh, when there was stuff that was happening?
Yes, ma'am.
You would document it?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there anything that occurred after that second visit with the Rosenbaums?
Yes, ma'am.
What occurred?
Laila came back to the house with a bruise on their eyes.
And what did you do when you observed that bruise?
I questioned Ms. Rosenbaum about it.
And what was her response?
She said that Laila was playing in a park, waterfall, and she took a toy from another child, and the child healed with it.
What did you do after getting that information from Ms. Rosenbaum?
I let it be, because stuff happens when kids play.
Did you notate that in your journal?
Not at that time.
And in regards to Layla's eye, did you do anything?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do?
I would put some ointment to show everyone know, A&B ointment, to heal the little scar that was under there.
And did it heal that scar?
Yes, ma'am.
And then when was the next visit that the Rosenbaums had with the girls?
Next weekend.
And when the girls came back, what did you do, if anything?
As usual, the same thing. Look for any marks, any unusual bruises. I just do it all the time.
And at that time, did you observe any bruises or marks?
Not at the second time, no.
Not on that visit?
Not on that visit.
That mark that you talked about that was under Layla's eye after that second visit, was it still present when they came back that following week?
Still present, but look a little better.
And then the next visit that they had with the Rosenbaums, do you recall when that was?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
Following week.
And did you continue with the same process and routine that you normally did?
Yes, ma'am.
And when they came back that following week, did you have any concerns?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were those concerns?
The concerns this time was with both kids.
Okay.
The bruises was actually back, but very irritated. It was fresh and red.
Did you discuss that? And when you got the kids back, who would drop them off?
Miss Rosenbaum?
Did you talk to Ms. Rosenbaum about the injuries that you saw after this third visit?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did she tell you, if anything?
She said if defects think that they would place kids in my home and do not get any bruises, then they have another thing coming.
Let me show you what's marked as state's exhibits 119, 120, and 121. If you could look at states 119, 120, and 121, do you recognize those?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know, are those photographs of the girls?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Did you take those photographs?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Where were those photographs taken?
At the defects office?
Do they depict what you observed when the girls came back from being on a visit with the Rosenbaums?
Yes.
I'd ask the states 119, 120, and 121 be admitted into evidence. If I could get the lights.
Yes.
I'm showing you what's marked as state's exhibit 121, and there should be the corner up here. Can you tell us what we're looking at in state's exhibit 121?
The bruise of...
If you can point out where you observed the bruise. And watch your step, please. Okay. And states number 120. Which one of the rows are we looking at in states 121 and 120?
This is Millie's Day.
Okay. And if you can keep your voice up.
Millie's Day.
Where do you see a bruise at on those photographs?
Right here.
And when you say right here, what part of the body is that?
Some of them. I help kill part. I'm one of them. Close to the knee area.
And states number 119, who's that we're looking at?
And that's Laila.
And where is the bruise that you observed on Laila?
Right here.
And that's different from the bruise from the previous visit?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Besides Ms. Rosenbaum indicating that if defects didn't expect for her to have kids and they come back with bruises, did she give you any explanation as to how those injuries occurred?
Well, the excuse was they always playing. So that's the only thing I would hear from her.
Did the girls continue to have visitations with the Rosenbaums?
Yes, ma'am.
In regards to these bruises, those photographs, you said they were taken at defects?
Yes, ma'am.
Who took those photographs?
A caseworker by the name of Mayeda Macadam,
And how did Miss Mayada Macadon come to take photographs of those injuries?
because I brought them in there.
Why did you take the girls into defects? I'm sorry, the lights can be turned on.
It's defects policy that if a child get any bruises, whether in your home or with someone else, defects has to know.
So let me ask you, if a child fell down some stairs, is that something that you should be reporting to defects?
Sure.
If a child fell off a ladder, is that something you should report to defects?
Most definitely.
If a child fell off a bike, is that something you should be reporting to defects?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you, in regards to the defects policy, what's their policy as far as discipline?
We do know we cannot touch. We cannot touch them, period. Now, a timeout will be fine.
After going to defects, what did you tell defects? Was it Ms. Warner that you spoke to, or Ms. Macedon?
I spoke to Miss Macedon. She was the only one I could get at the time.
Did you try to reach anyone else?
I did.
Who did you try to reach?
I tried to reach both the caseworker and her supervisor, which is Miss Warner.
Okay. And the caseworker was who?
Samantha White.
Were you able to reach Ms. White at all?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Were you able to reach Ms. Warner?
No, ma'am.
When you weren't able to reach them, what did you do?
I show up at the office.
And is that when you talked with Ms. Macedon?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you tell Ms. Macedon at that time?
I let her know this is an ongoing thing that's been happening. So somebody need to do something. Take some pictures and try to get it investigated.
Did you have any concerns about the girls coming back with injuries?
That's why I took them to the office, because of my concerns.
What was your concern?
To me, if you have taken a class in training, you would definitely know that having a child in your home that does not belong to you, you gotta have eyes all around your head and the back, sides, everywhere, because they're little kids and they get into stuff very easily.
Did you ever tell anyone that you thought that the Rosenbaums were abusing the girls?
No, that's not my place to say.
Did the visits continue after your visit with Ms. Macedon at defects?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the next visit that the girls had with the Rosenbaum?
Following week again, continues.
So at this time, is Ms. Peggy Banks having visitations with the girls?
Limited, very limited.
And when would that occur if it wasn't on the weekends?
Probably should just take them during like for a day, but not on the weekends anymore.
And when they would come back from those day visits, did you notice any of these bruises or injuries or notated anywhere in your journal?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did Ms. White come out to your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall what day that was?
Can't recall what day, but I remember what the conversation was.
What do you recall that conversation being?
The conversation was that the kids went for a weekend visit, and Laila came back with 3 distinct marks inside of her arm, and that bothers me a lot. So I asked Ms. White to get her to the house immediately.
You asked her to come to your house immediately?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she in fact come?
Yes, she did.
And what happened when Ms. White came to your home?
Well, I discussed that with her, with the marks in her arms. I also discussed all the excess bruises that had been happening before that, and she assured me that the visit would stop.
The visits with who would stop?
The visit with Ms. Rosenbaum will stop.
And I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 122. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
That's one like water plugs, if you know what.
Is it a photograph?
Water,
Who's it a photograph of?
that's Laila's palm.
Okay. I'd ask the State's Exhibit 122 be admitted into evidence.
Admitted?
And I close the corner. Can you show us what you were describing and talking about in State's Exhibit 122?
I don't know if you can see, but this is one of the match. You can see like all that area. Never the fingers, but it's all in the palm. Right here, right here.
And make sure you keep your voice up. You can see. What did those marks look like that were in Laila's palm?
That looked like a pot, like a fork that you eat with, was sticking in hands like this.
Did you discuss that with Ms. Rosenbaum, that injury that you saw in Laila's palm? Maybe the lights can go back on.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what did she say to you, if anything?
At this time, she didn't give me an answer.
She didn't give you an answer?
No, ma'am.
You said you spoke with Ms. White and she indicated that the visits would stop.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the visit stop at that point?
Instead, what happened, the kids has been removed from my home the following week.
In between the time that you observed that photograph and called Ms. White and July 24th, were there ever any visitations with the Rosenbaums?
No, no, ma'am.
Do you recall the Rosenbaums giving a party for Laila at all?
If they did it at their home, not that I know of.
Okay. And you said on July 24th, that's when the girls were removed.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any more communication at all with the girls once they were removed from your home?
Once the girl was removed from my home, the only time that I did see Millie, it was at a Walmart. And that's like 2 months after.
I'm going to back up just a little bit. When the girls were removed from your home on July the 24th, what did you do, if anything?
I asked the judge to send me a letter stating why he's removing them.
Why did you want a letter from the judge stating why the girls were being removed?
Well, I mean, after all that I've reported, I needed to know why they were moving them.
At the time that the girls were removed from your home, was that mark still in Laila's palm?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they have any other injuries on them when they were removed on July 24th?
No, ma'am. One of the things that I do as a foster parent, anytime a child is removed from a home, I would have the caseworker present and I would have the child stripped to make sure that they're leaving without any marks, period.
And did you do that with
Yes, ma'am.
Millie and Laila?
Yes, ma'am, in the presence of Mr. and Mrs. Rosenbaum and the caseworker.
And were there any marks? Two, 3 months later?
Well, not them both, just one.
Okay, and where was that?
At Walmart.
And who did you see? Which one of the
Millie.
girls? Millie. And who was Millie with?
Miss Rosenbaum.
And how did Millie look when you saw her?
I so happened to just step in the door and I see the student hands running, wide open running, and she just jumped on me. When she jumped on me, I just put my arms around her and she took her face and she buried it into my neck. And she had like 2 or 3 layers of clothes on and it was hot. Or she looked pale, or her eyes was dark. And I said, are you okay? What happened? And she would just stare at me and her eyes would fill up with water. And Miss Jennifer started walking towards me and she would just look at me. Didn't say anything.
Did you talk to Jennifer Rosenbaum that day?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say to her?
I asked her, what's going on with Millie? And she said, well, she's sick. So I said, well, if she's sick, why are you not taking her to a doctor? She said, well, I will just come and get some medication here at Walmart. You know, and in the moment of talking about that, she changed the conversation to them going on a vacation. And that was it.
That was the end of that conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
When was the next time that you saw them, if you did?
Never.
At some point, were you informed about the death of Laila?
Yes, ma'am.
How were you informed?
By a caseworker.
When you got that information, what, if anything, did you do?
No. I don't know.
Did you go to the services for Laila?
No, ma'am.
Did you see Laila after she passed?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that?
I went to view her body at the funeral home.
And when you viewed Laila's body, did she appear to look the same as she did when she left her home on July 24th?
She is a completely different baby in that box.
What was completely different about her?
Everything.
If you can describe it.
Skinny, barely have any hair. She looked like a baby that's in the womb. Like when you do ultrasound, she just like a little frail little baby.
Did you ever see Millie again after Laila died?
I did see her viewing the body.
Did Millie ever come back to your home after Laila died?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
She came back the day after the death, like one day after.
What happened when Millie came back to your house after Laila died?
Well, I got a call from a caseworker asking that Millie been placed back in my home because I was somebody that she's familiar with, so they just wanted to be back with me. But when I went to the office to pick her up, her back was so covered in black and blue bruises, I took her straight to the doctor's office.
Which doctor did you take her to?
She goes to a doctor in Stockbridge.
Do you recall that doctor's name?
No, ma'am, but he should be in the medical files. But that's the doctor, the pediatrician, they take them both to.
And I'm showing you what's been already introduced into evidence case number 80. Are those the bruises that you were speaking of on Millie?
Yes, ma'am.
And why did you take Millie to the doctor?
Like I normally do. If there is something unusual on the skin, one of the first things you do, have the doctor examine them first.
Did you ask Millie how those bruises occurred?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did she tell you?
She said that Mr. Rosenbaum beat her on the back.
Did she tell you anything else about those bruises on her?
And I mean, in a situation like that, and being a mom, there was so much you could question a baby, so I didn't put any pressure.
Did you ever talk to Millie about what happened to Laila while she was in the home with the Rosenbaums?
You didn't have to ask her, she would just tell you.
Did she tell you anything about how Laila was treated when she was there with the defendants?
Well, one of the things Millie always do when she comes from by Jennifer, she would put on this act. She would have a belt, and she would, act like a junk man, just doing this. And I'm like, so what are you doing? She'd say, I'm being Miss Jennifer. I'm junk. See, so that's, and then she said, well, Miss Jennifer drink, she would pull Laila down the stairs by her arm.
Did she tell you anything else that Jennifer Rosenbaum or Joseph Rosenbaum would do to Laila?
No, I didn't want to be the one to pry asking her. I wanted her to talk herself.
So did you ask her any more questions?
No, ma'am.
When I said more, did you ever ask her a question to get that information?
No, ma'am. Okay. No, ma'am.
After Millie told you about those incidents, what did you do?
What could I do than to just comfort her?
Did you ever tell anyone about what Millie had told you about what happened with her in the Rosenbaum's house and what happened with Laila?
No, the only person I really talked to was the detective.
How did you end up talking to the detective?
They came to my house.
Let me ask you, did you ever inform DFACS of what Millie had said to you?
I did let Miss White know.
Was it Miss White that you told her, you sure?
Actually, I spoke to Miss Charles first, which is the administrator.
Do you recall when it was that the detective came out to your house?
They came out, actually, the first person that came is Miss King. She came the day after I got received the news. And then the day after that, we have 3 detectives, 2 male and a female. And then a week after, I have 2 more come out. And I was just taking the notes and just questioning Millie.
Okay. And I just want to back up just a little bit. How long after Laila's death was it that Millie came to stay with you?
Probably 2-3 weeks.
Do you know where Millie was in between the time that Laila died and coming to your home?
No, ma'am. I picked her up at the defects office, so I didn't know.
And how long after she came to your home did she tell you about being beat by Joseph Rosenbaum and Laila being dragged down the stairs by Jennifer Rosenbaum?
The same day.
The same day. Has she had any visits or conversations to your knowledge, well, while at your house, with any of her family members?
She did.
And did you have the opportunity to hear those conversations?
I do, listening.
Did you hear anyone tell Millie those things that she said to you?
No, ma'am.
Who was it that she was talking with when she was in your home?
Her mom.
What about Miss Peggy Banks?
She do talk to Miss Banks too.
Did you ever hear Miss Peggy Banks tell Millie certain things to say about what happened to her in the Rosenbaum's home?
No, ma'am.
And you said the detectives came out to your house.
Yes, ma'am.
When they came out to your house, did they speak to you?
Yes, they did.
Did they speak to Millie?
Yes, they did.
And do you remember when that was?
It was like 2 weeks after death, within the time frame.
Were you present during the time that they were speaking with Millie?
No, ma'am. I would walk away so she could be comfortable. So I just let them talk.
Did you hear anything that Millie was saying to the detectives?
No, I just give them the little time.
Is there anyone else that lives in your home with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who else lives in your home?
My husband and my 4 kids.
And is one of your kids Kaya Lambert?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Kaya talk with Millie?
All the time.
And to your knowledge, did Millie tell Kaya anything about what happened to her?
She did.
And was Kaya present when the detectives came to talk to Millie?
That's the only how Millie go to talk to the detective. The Kai has to sit beside her.
And did that happen when the detectives were there?
Yes, ma'am.
During the time that Millie was in your home, did she see a counselor or have counseling?
One time.
Do you remember who that was?
No, ma'am. As a lady, but I can't remember her name.
Did that counseling happen at your house or somewhere else?
Not at my house.
And did Millie still have a caseworker at this time?
Actually, no, because so many people was involved at that time. She did not have a specific caseworker.
Do you recall someone by the name of Brandy Willis?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was Brandy Willis?
She is the one took up after Samantha White left.
And did Miss Willis make any visits to your home?
Yes, ma'am.
About how many?
I mean, she do her usual visit. They have to come out once a month.
And when she would come to your home, what would happen during those visits?
You know, just talk about what Millie is telling me after her sister died and how she would be calling for her sister every night. So, and I would just explain to her how I would comfort her and let her know that the sister is in heaven looking at her. So just be happy for her.
Did you notice any behavioral changes in Millie when she came back to your house after being with the Rosenbaums?
Millie was more sad than anything else. She don't have time to
No, I
accept.
objected to put the words in Millie's mouth. It's hearsay whether she has time or not. Yes.
This is demeanor.
Yes, I asked her, did she notice any changes in Millie's behavior when she returned to her house?
Overruled.
You can answer.
No, I was saying Millie was always sad. All she asked for is a sister.
Was there anyone else, you said the council came out, was there any visits with family during the time that Millie was back in your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was visiting?
Her mom
And where would those visits take place?
at the defects office.
Would you be present for those visits?
No, ma'am.
To your knowledge, were those visits supervised or unsupervised?
Any visit that takes place at the defects office have to be supervised.
When Millie was at home with you, would she, what about Miss Peggy Banks? Would she have any visits with Millie during this time that she was in your home?
If she does, it will be at the defects office.
What about during the time Millie was at your home? Would she ever talk to any of her family members while she was with you?
After the death, yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And what family members was she talking to?
She would talk to Miss Banks, her mom, and I think it's her stepdad.
And where would those phone conversations, how would those phone conversations take place?
Well, what I do, knowing me, I always keep a chart. So I would document time of call, who called. I would sit right there and listen to the conversation.
And you would listen to the conversation?
Yes, ma'am. Put it on speaker.
When those calls were on speakerphone call, did they ever discuss Laila and Laila's death?
Yeah, they did.
Did you ever hear anyone make suggestions to Millie about what happened when she and Laila were living with the defendants?
No, ma'am, never, not once.
How long did Millie stay in your home after coming back after November the 17th of 2015?
Probably like a month, or probably less.
And at some point, did she leave your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did she end up leaving your home?
Well, they said they was transferring her to Clayton County.
During that period of time, did you make any complaints to DFACS about family members or interference in your home while Millie was there for that period of time?
Well, one of the things I was concerned about is that while speaking to her mom, I guess her mom wanted her to have a cell phone. And in my home, we don't allow young kids like that to have independent phones. So that was my concern.
During that month's period of time that Millie was with you, did you ever take her to the doctor's office?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that? Why did you take her to the doctor's office?
I took her to the doctor's office because of that same bruises on her back. And I wanted the doctor to make an observation and have him give me back something stating what he saw.
Was there ever a time that you had some concerns about Millie's eyes?
She had some allergies.
And tell me about what was going on regarding her allergies.
When the allergies started bothering her, she would take her hands and she would, rub, rough. And being here so soft, it get kind of dark. So that's what created the darkness under her eyes. So.
Did you discuss that, the darkness under her eyes with anyone, DFACS or a doctor or anyone?
I did discuss it with DFACS.
And what happened in regards to Millie having that darkness under her eyes?
Well, around like 10:30 at night, what do they call it, CPS investigator showed up at my home, and she said that the mom had made a complaint that Millie had black eyes. So one of the things I wanted to do is to take her to the Eggleston, which they did, and they brought her back like around 3 in the morning, and all the finding was just allergies. There was no punch, there was no bruises, nothing.
How much time passed between the issue where she had to go to the doctors at, assuming at 10:30 at night, and Millie being removed from your home?
She'd been removed probably like a day or two after.
How did you feel about that whole situation?
It hurts that the mom accused, but me being a mom myself, I would understand. She just had a baby die, any little thing would freak her out, so I would understand. I didn't hold her accountable for doing that.
Nothing further at this time.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lambert. My name's Kareem Mall.
Good afternoon.
I've got some questions to ask you. First of all, have you watched any of the coverage on TV?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you haven't watched any of what's been going on in this courtroom for the past week?
No, ma'am.
You haven't watched any television about news reports?
I watch television, but not about that news report.
So what did you do when that came on the news?
I did not see it on the news.
You didn't see it on the news?
I did not see it.
But you watched the news?
Of course I did.
You read papers?
No, ma'am.
I'd like to the exhibit that the state showed you. So, just to be clear, let me ask you to take a look at make sure that I'm talking about the same thing. Is this your first notations about when the children came to your custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
June 11th, 2015?
June 12th.
June 12th. Okay, so when it says June 11th up there, that's wrong. Is this your writing?
That's my writing.
Okay, did you write June 11th?
I did write June 11th, but when the caseworker give you a letter, that's the date they wrote the letter.
Okay, so
June 12th.
here is not accurate.
This is accurate. The letter they received from the caseworker, they made it out on June 12th.
Okay, but I'm
So
asking you, on June 11th, 2015, did the caseworker, Miss Samantha White, place kids in my home? Did that occur?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it did.
On June 11th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, you went from June 11th, and the next time she took them was 6/13, is that correct?
June 13th.
June 13th?
That's when Ms. Rosenbaum took them for the first time.
Okay, and you said there that she came back with scratches and pinches on her left leg and a large bruise under her eye, correct?
Yes, it
And
is.
you say, I took her to, and that would be the next page, right? I took her to, did you write where you took her to?
You was the one asking the questions.
Yes, and I did ask you a question.
Repeat it.
Did you take her anywhere?
Took her to the emergency room June 13th.
June 13th, you took her to the emergency room. What emergency room did you take her to? What hospital?
Children had care.
Choa. So she went to the...
Stockbridge.
Stockbridge? Choa at Stockbridge? And when did you take her? If Miss Jennifer took the girls on Saturday the 13th, when did you take the children to the hospital?
Jennifer took the children June 13th. Laila got sick. She called me within an hour or half an hour and said that she was throwing up. She couldn't deal with it. What I did do, took her to the emergency room the same day. Not knowing the history, that was the right thing to do because I didn't know what was causing the vomiting.
They said it was a viral, correct? The vomiting.
You have the file.
It doesn't call for hearsay. I'm asking her present intention, her known, excuse me, ma'am. I will rephrase. June 13th, you got some pills, you didn't use them, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What were the pills given to you for?
It was given to me to place under her tongue.
Now, the next thing you write about in your journal is Saturday, and if you take a look and confirm with me, Saturday, the what? What do you have written there?
Where?
Again, on Saturday.
Okay, I see right there.
And what does that say? Yes.
Right here.
Yes.
Okay, so that happened the weekend, the following weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and Sunday and Saturday.
Okay, and what date is it if you take that? What does 20921 stand for?
This right here, 20th, 21st.
20th, 21st of September. What's the 9 for?
Where is the 9?
In the middle, between 20 and 29. What is it?
That's N.
And 20th and 21st.
Yes,
It's 20th, 21st of June.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she picked them up again, and they came back with bruises on her right ankle and a bruise on her knee.
Mm-hmm.
Laila had scratches and pinch on her left leg and a large bruise under her eyes. I took her to, where did you take her to?
The DFAC's office.
Okay,
I can explain myself.
certainly.
The way this is documented, this only document as stuff occurred. So if you're looking for a pardon for every single time, I only document when stuff occurred.
Okay, I understand that. Now, when you finish writing on June 11th, and you go to the next page, I'm asking you, do you write on the back of the pages or do you go to the next page?
Ma'am, when I'm documenting, I write what's available at the time incident occurred.
Okay, so let's take a look at, from June 13th, the next day we have is June 21, correct? If we're going in order of time, the next time is June 21.
Yes, ma'am?
And then you squeeze in here June 28th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
On top of the June 21.
That's in the end, that's in the middle.
And the next page of Exhibit 118 is Jennifer picking them up on June 27th, correct?
That's what's there.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you talk on June 27th all the way through the page, and then you turn the page and you continue to write, correct? And you went on to 7/9/15, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
June 28th is stuck here behind June 21, correct? Did you write that after June 28th?
I will repeat myself. I write the incidents as it occurred.
So
So
as
I don't have a pattern doing like dates. If it occurred on a certain date, I will just get the paper, write it down.
So on June 28th, you got the paper where you wrote June 21st, and you wrote in front of June 21st, you wrote June 28th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. have had occasion to talk to the police,
Yes, ma'am.
and you told the police everything you told us here, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, the police came out to your house, correct, on December 2nd, 2015.
Possibility?
And you told him on December 2nd, 2015, everything there was to know,
What I could remember?
what you could remember.
Yes, ma'am.
And you never told the detective that Joseph Rosenbaum kicked or beat Millie, did you?
I never ever once used the word kicked.
Beat.
Yes,
Okay, you didn't tell the police that, did you?
they didn't ask that.
Okay, they
I would
didn't ask
answer
that.
what they asked.
Okay. But it's fair to say you didn't volunteer to them that Millie, excuse me, let me finish my question. But when Millie Place came to you, she told you that Joseph Rosenbaum beat her hip bone area,
Not a hip bone, her back.
her back. You didn't tell that to the police.
As I said, they didn't ask.
Okay, but my question is not whether they asked or not. My question is, did you tell?
It wasn't my job to tell you they didn't ask.
My question is, did you tell them that Millie had said that?
No.
Now, you have said that you documented and took pictures, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, where are the pictures of you, of the girls, when they were in your house?
You would ask one of the detectives that I had a video camera. They took that away from me, never see it again.
Okay, so there should be video.
Well, not video. I use a video camera to take a picture of her back.
Okay,
That's
so
what I did.
that should be with the detectives.
Should be.
Okay, now, otherwise, these folks don't have any of your pictures, do they?
I wouldn't know that, ma'am.
You don't know.
No, ma'am.
Now, isn't it true that basically when the day that you were accused of a black eye on Millie, that night you told DFAX she can stay the night, but she has to leave the next day?
I don't know where you get that information from, ma'am.
I'm asking you, did you
No,
say
ma'am.
that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You did not talk to Brandy Willis or Lakeitra Billingsley and tell them that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now you said on June 21st the children had bruises, but isn't it true the Rosenbaums didn't have the children on the 21st?
I cannot recall the date, but one thing I'm sure of, that they came with bruises.
On one occasion.
More than one occasions.
Now you bought children jelly sandals, didn't you?
Pardon me?
Jelly sandals. You bought the children some sandals, didn't you?
No, ma'am.
You didn't buy them any sandals?
No, ma'am.
Okay. They came with sandals
When?
when they came to your house the first time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So no jelly sandals at all?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now you say Samantha White came out 3 times.
That's about right.
And you had the girls, well, you had both girls, you had the girls for a period of 30 days. Is that correct?
That's about right.
Okay. So Samantha White came to your house 3 times in 30 days.
Yes,
Correct?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you feel that that was not doing her job, right?
The reason why Samantha White came to the house, because when the bruises occur and you make a report, they have to send someone out.
Did she come 3 times?
She come over 3 times.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but that's about 3 times.
Now, on June 28th, Jennifer was working all day. How did she come and pick up the children?
I wouldn't know what days Miss Jennifer worked.
Okay.
All I do know that she picked them up on the weekends,
Every weekend?
every weekend.
Okay. And that's what you only documented the visits that something happened on, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you took Laila to the doctor on the 29th, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you took her to the doctor because you said that Jennifer had brought her back with bruises.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you talked to the doctor and asked about the bruising, correct?
Is it Laila or Millie?
Either girl.
It's Millie.
Did you talk to the doctor and asked about the bruising?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're sure of that?
It's possible.
It's possible. Is it possible, ma'am, that you did not go to the doctor on June 29th?
Ma'am, one thing about me, I have eyes for details and I do pay attention to details. Any child that's been placed in my home, if they have a scratch on the finger, a scratch on the eyes, on the toes, it is my job to report it, document it. If it calls for a doctor visit, that's what I did.
Okay. So on June 29th, just so that I'm clear, you took Millie to the doctor because of a bruise?
It's a possibility. I could not recall the dates.
Isn't it true that you did in fact go to the doctor, but you never mentioned bruises? Isn't that true?
You tell me what I know is true when I know you're asking me a question.
I'm asking you a question. Isn't it true that you took her to the doctor, but you mentioned nothing about bruises?
When I took her to the doctor examined her. If there was a bruise, he would find it.
So if he didn't find a bruise, then what you're saying is not true, correct?
No. If there is a bruise, he would find it.
But if there wasn't a bruise, then what you're saying is not
Well,
correct.
obviously, if there wasn't a bruise, he wouldn't find it. But if
I'm
there
just
is
asking you a
one,
question, ma'am.
I understand, but I'm just letting you know, if there is a bruise, it won't be invisible. He will find it.
And if he didn't find the bruise, then it would mean what you're telling this jury is incorrect.
No. One thing I do not do is lie. I have no reason to.
Actually, you went to the doctor for vaccinations, not for a bruise. Isn't that correct?
So then you know that. So why are you trying to tell me that I go for a bruise?
So you didn't go for a bruise, did you?
Stop trying to trip me up. It won't work.
Now, Miss Banks told Miss Jennifer, apparently, according to you, told you that Miss Banks did not like the fact that Millie was living with a black person, correct?
Jennifer never mentioned Miss Banks' name.
Okay, what did she
Concerning
say?
that. She told Jennifer is the one.
You gotta love that. You gotta love somebody just saying what they want to say. You know, why can't people say shit like that at trial? You know, you should be able to just say. I mean, if you want to say something, you know, I get it. Like, you know, that's some rules, but that's exactly what that lady was trying to do, is trip her up. You know. But I mean, this must be the CPS caseworker, right? Obviously, didn't work out well again.
Banks do not like black people.
That's what I just said.
Well,
So she told you that, correct?
yes, Ms. Rosenbaum did.
Okay, and then you went to Miss Banks,
Yes, I
and
did.
Miss Banks said she never said anything like that.
Yes, she did.
Now, would it surprise you if Miss Banks had said exactly those sort of things to a caseworker? Would it surprise you?
I would know.
Would it
Thank you, Kami, and thank you, Kathy Chapin and Danielle. Only 21:01 left.
Listen, I'm not here to judge Ms. Banks on her beliefs.
I'm sorry, but I'm asking the questions. Would it surprise you?
Why would it surprise
She was
me?
not asking the question, she was giving an answer, Judge. I asked her.
I was giving an answer.
The questions that's being posed to her.
Well, first, it's difficult for me to rule an objection when you're speaking. So when she starts talking, you have to stop talking.
Okay.
And that's just so that I can understand what's going on, okay? And I don't expect that you would know that, but that's the way it works. The significant overtalk, I'd like you to restate the question.
Would it surprise you that Miss Banks said exactly that sort of thing to another caseworker? And I'm just asking her, would it surprise her?
Your Honor,
This sounds like speculation.
No, I'm
Sounds
asking
like you're
her.
asking her to speculate.
Okay, I'll move on.
to be judge of character.
Now, you noticed that Laila would stuff her mouth. She ate a lot, right?
She loved food.
So you actually warned Miss Banks about this, didn't you? You told her that she likes to eat a lot of food and stuffs her mouth. Didn't you say that?
I never use the word stuffed mouth.
Okay.
She loves to eat.
Fine. And you know this because you had Laila with you,
Yes, ma'am?
and she wanted more food. She said, feed me.
No, she said that when she hungry or she needs something to eat, she would just say, Mama, eat, eat. So I know she's hungry.
Okay, so that, what I said was correct, that she makes that sign when she's hungry.
That's not what you said. You said when she's hungry, she wanted more food. That wasn't what she did.
When she's hungry, that means she wants food, correct?
That's what she,
And when she wants food, she makes that gesture.
yes, ma'am?
Now, do you recall on July 9th, when Samantha White came to visit you, you had the girls, you told Miss White that the girls were improving in their behavior, but Laila still had a temper.
I can't recall that. Maybe I did. I can't recall.
isn't it true that you told Miss White that the kids came home with marks on them and that the only explanation you got from Jennifer was that they were playing?
Yes, I did.
And you told Miss White that your concern was lack of supervision.
I sure did.
You thought she didn't have kids and didn't know to keep a close eye on the children after she...
No, you don't tell me what I thought.
Excuse me, ma'am.
You was telling me that I thought you didn't have kids and keeping a close eye on supervision. My thing is, I'm just saying, from what the kids was coming back to from being in my home was lack of supervision. That's just my belief.
You never suggested abuse, did you?
No.
And you did not like being accused yourself in 2016 when they accused you of putting a black eye on Millie, did you?
That's why you document.
But you didn't like it, did you?
No.
And in fact, Millie left your house.
Yes, she did.
Your reaction was to tell them that Millie could not live there past the next day.
You're telling me what my reaction was?
I am asking you whether that was your reaction.
No, ma'am. That's up to defects. That's not up to me.
Whether you keep a child in your home is up to you or up to defects.
It's up to defects.
Okay, if you don't want a child in your home, can they force you to keep a child in your home?
No, ma'am.
Now, when you had Millie the second time round, well, both times, when you had Millie and she went to visit with Miss Banks, her behavior changed.
Her behavior did not change.
Okay? You did not tell anybody at defects that Millie's behavior changed since she began to visit with her mother and great-grandmother.
In having candid conversation, I say she would come back and act grown, what I explained before.
Okay, you didn't say that she was becoming more defiant and told you that her mother said she didn't have to listen to you and that she can have anything she wants.
That I did say.
You did say that.
Yes, ma'am.
You also told her that the mark on Millie's face could have come from the makeup that is applied on her when she goes to visit mom and great-grandma.
It's a possibility. It could have.
And isn't it true you and Mr. Lambert told Miss White that Millie had to leave because Mr. Lambert was afraid he would lose his job if his employer finds out about Millie having a black eye?
No, ma'am.
Now, you had situations where the mother would call you, and the child, she would call after the child was asleep. And when the child would wake up, she was too tired to talk to the child, correct?
Which child are you talking about?
Any of her two children that you had.
Never happened.
Never happened. You spoke to Tessa and she told you she received pictures as late as the day before Laila died, correct?
When did I speak to Tessa?
I'm just asking you, did you speak to Tessa and did you tell Tessa that as late as the day before she died, Jennifer sent you pictures?
The one and only time I've met Tessa for the very first time was at the funeral home.
And did she tell you at that time that she got a picture of Laila from the day before she died?
She was having conversation, but
Did she
didn't
tell you that?
She did not talk to me directly. We were standing around with other people. She was having conversation.
So she spoke it into the air when you were around?
Well, not into the air, just a close group of people were standing there. So
And
she
you
was
were-
just talking.
And you were one of those close people?
Yes, ma'am.
So she did say that as late as the day before she died, she received a picture of Laila?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I will do that.
Can you redirect?
No redirect.
No redirect. Thank you, ma'am. You sat down.
Thank you.
And you are excused unless there's some reason that I'm not aware of.
She may be commonly excused by the state board.
All right. What says the defense?
I would ask that she remain available and that she not be watching my coverage during this time.
Okay, ma'am, you're still under subpoena. You'll be required to, you'll be subject to recall, which means that you have to stay nearby and make sure that you full access to it.
That's fine.
Thank you. And you're still, of course, under the rules of sequestration.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have a nice weekend. Okay, we're going to stop.
May we approach her?
Sure. Yes. All right, I spoke a little prematurely. There's one witness that they have in the hall that we have to go ahead and hear from based upon some scheduling concerns. And so I apologize for that, but it's the right thing to do.
Favorite call out of Macedon?
Dan, right up here, please.
Can you please raise your right hand and do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth and the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please lower your hand and state your true and correct legal name and spell it, please.
Mayetta Macedon, Mietta Macedon.
Good afternoon or good evening,
Good
Ms.
afternoon.
Macedon. In 2015, where were you employed?
Henry County Defects.
And what position did you hold with Henry County Defects?
Foster care case manager.
And are you familiar with Ms. Patricia Lambert?
Yes.
And how are you familiar with Ms. Lambert?
She was a foster parent at the time with the agency.
Did you ever work directly with Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
And can you tell me on what occasions did you have to work with Ms. Lambert?
When I had children placed in her home, I worked directly with her with the children, visiting with the children and so forth.
And when you had children placed with Ms. Lambert's home, tell me about, if you know, Ms. Lambert's process and procedures when she had foster kids.
She was very thorough, consistent, caring. She made sure that the children had what they needed. She made sure that they was well cared for, as if they were her own.
Were you aware of her keeping documentation of the kids that she had?
Absolutely.
Okay. And what did you know about her keeping documentation?
Very consistent, detailed. She kept copies of everything that she submitted to defects.
Did you ever, during the time that you worked with Ms. Lambert, ever have any concerns or complaints from her in regards to kids that were in her home?
For any that I oversaw,
Yes.
or no?
Yes. Did you ever, with Ms. Lambert, how would you describe Ms. Lambert as far as her contact with defects?
It was very honest, transparent, and consistent.
Was she, did she contact defects how often would she contact defects?
Regularly,
And when she would make those contacts, what would that be in regards to?
the children placed in her home.
How would you, I guess, quantify it? Was it a lot of calls? Was it a little calls, average calls? How would you quantify that?
Moderate. It was as needed.
At any point in time, were you involved in the case involving Millie Place and Laila Bain?
Briefly.
And tell me about your involvement in that case.
At one point, Mrs. Lambert came to the defects office, and I was in the office at the time, and when I walked out of my office into the hallway, I saw her coming down the hall, and she stated that she needed to speak with her case manager or the supervisor at the time.
Did she express why she needed to speak with the case manager or the supervisor?
Yes.
And who was the case manager and the supervisor?
I believe it was Sam as the caseworker and Miss Tamara as the supervisor.
And were they available to your knowledge?
They weren't in the building at the time.
Did she express her concerns to you?
She did.
And what were her concerns?
Her concern was about the children placed in her home. And when they left her for a visit, the children, they didn't have any type of marks or anything. However, when they returned from the visits, there were marks that she observed.
Did she indicate who those visits were? Who the kids were having visits with when they would return with marks?
I can't recall at the time.
Did she, was she alone when she came to the defects office to make those, her concerns known?
When I made contact with her on that day, she didn't have a child with her.
And what did you do in regards to the concerns that Ms. Lambert raised?
I took a picture of the concerning marks or mark on the child, and I spoke with her about what happened and documented it and forwarded that information to the supervisor and the caseworker.
And what information did you have about how that injury occurred?
She couldn't give me any details specifically. She just knew before the child left her, there were no marks. However, when the child came back, there were marks.
Do you recall where the marks were on that child's body?
No, I can't recall exactly.
Show that has already been entered into state's evidence 120, 119, 120, 121. Do you recognize any of these photographs?
I recognize this one.
And is that state's 119?
Yes.
And is this the mark that you were told about or there was concern about?
Yes.
And is this a photograph that you took?
Yes.
Do you recall taking any other photographs that day?
I believe there was one more.
And would that have been in your states 121 or 120?
Can I see those two again, please? I believe it was this one.
And that states number 121, you recall that photograph?
Yes.
And after you took these photographs, what did you do, if anything?
I spoke with her about the marks, and then I documented the information and forwarded it to the supervisor and the case manager on the case at the time.
And that would have been Samantha White and Tamara Warner?
Correct.
Did you have any other follow-up in regards to your conversation with Ms. Lambert and the photographs that you took?
No.
Nothing further at this time.
No questions? All right, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
And you're excused and much respect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else?
Nothing further from the state.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your work over the course of the week. Have a nice weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Please remember all bad conditions. When we take long breaks like this, there's that temptation to start to talk, and you can't do it. Okay? And so thank you, and we'll see you on Monday. All right. Thank you all. We'll see you on Monday.
Mr. Attorney, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes.
What's your name?
Millie.
And how do you spell Millie?
Millie.
And what's your last name?
Harold.
And how do you spell Harold?
Harrill.
And Millie, did you ever go by the name Millie Place?
Yes.
How old are you, Millie?
7.
And when's your birthday?
October 4th.
Do you have any plans for your birthday yet? No? I'm going to see this lady right here in front of you?
Mhm.
She's taking down everything I say, everything you say. So when you answer, you're going to have to use your voice, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So let's try that again. Do you have any plans for your birthday?
No.
Perfect. Okay. And what grade are you going into?
Second.
Second. And what fun things have you done this summer?
We went swimming.
And who do you live with?
Mommy.
Mommy. And who else is in your house?
My 2 little sisters.
And do you have a favorite color?
Yellow.
Yellow. And what kind of fun things do you do when you're not in school?
We play outside.
Play outside. Do you like going to gymnastics?
Yes.
What kind of things do you do in gymnastics?
We do cartwheels.
Cartwheels. And how about, can you do a split?
Yes.
On both sides or one side?
One
One
side.
side. Are you working on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Millie, do you know why you're here today? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And why are you here today?
To talk about stuff.
To talk about stuff? Okay. What stuff are you here to talk about? Well, let me ask you another way. Was there a time that you lived with Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
Okay. When you lived with Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum, did anyone else live with you?
Laila.
Who's Laila?
My sister.
Was Laila older than you or younger than you?
Younger.
When you lived with Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum, how old were you?
5.
5, okay. And do you remember how old Laila was?
2.
And when you lived with Jennifer Rosenbaum, what did you call Jennifer Rosenbaum?
Miss Jennifer.
Miss Jennifer. And when you lived with Joseph Rosenbaum, what did you call Joseph? Do you remember? No?
No.
So when we're talking in court today, when I say Miss Jennifer, you know we're talking about Jennifer Rosenbaum? Okay. And when I say Joseph, I'll be talking about Joseph Rosenbaum. Okay. Does that work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Now, when you lived with Miss Jennifer and Joseph, did you have your own bedroom?
No.
Who did you share a bedroom with?
Laila.
Laila. And what do you remember about your bedroom?
We had bunk beds.
Did you like the bunk beds?
Yes.
Do you remember anything else you had in your room? No?
No.
And do you remember what was on the front door of the house?
A sign that had an R on it.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Millie, I'm going to show you, this picture has a sticker on it. It says States Exhibit 105. Do you know what that's a picture of?
The house.
And what is on the, when you say the house, what house are you talking about?
The house that I used to live in.
And who lived in that house with you?
Laila,
And who else lived in that house?
Jennifer, and Joseph.
And now I'm going to show you States Exhibit 6. And do you recognize the picture?
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
It's the door.
The door of what?
The house.
The house? Okay. And what house was that?
The house that we used to live in.
And you say used to live in. Who did you live? Who lived in the house?
Jennifer, me, Laila, and Joseph.
Your Honor, at this time I tender States Exhibits 105 and 106 into evidence and ask permission to publish. Now I put 105, and is this the house you said you lived in with Joseph and Jennifer?
Yes.
And now 106. You see the picture behind you?
Mm-hmm.
And is that the front door?
I don't know.
What's on the, do you recognize what's on the front door?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you recognize it?
I saw it
And you saw it where?
on the door.
The door of what?
The house.
Okay, and what house?
The house that we used to live in.
Is that the house you lived in with Joseph and Jennifer?
Yes.
Now, when you lived with Joseph and Jennifer, was there anything you liked about it?
Yes.
And what did you like?
That the front door was red.
Front door was red. Okay. Was there anything else you liked?
No.
Was there, when you lived with Joseph and Jennifer, was there anything you didn't like?
Yes.
What are some of the things you didn't like?
Because the bathroom was really small.
The bathroom was really small. And did you ever have a party at Noah's Ark?
Yes.
Did you like the party?
Yes.
What was the party for?
My 5th birthday?
Your 5th birthday? Could it have been your 4th birthday?
Yes.
Now, when you were living with Joseph and Jennifer, would you take a bath, a shower, something else?
A
A
bath
bath. And when you took a bath, did you take it with Laila or by yourself?
with Laila.
And would someone be in the bathroom to help Laila take her bath?
Yes.
Would Jennifer help you and Laila take baths?
Yes.
Would Joseph ever help with the baths?
He helped with Laila's bath.
He helped with Laila's bath. And how come you didn't help with your bath?
I don't know.
Could you do your own bath?
Yes.
How about, could you dress yourself when you were living with Jennifer and Joseph?
Yes.
What about Laila? Could she dress herself?
No.
If Laila couldn't dress herself, who would help Laila dress herself?
Jennifer.
Would Joseph ever help Laila dress herself?
Yes.
Now, when you went to bed, did someone put you to bed, help you go to sleep?
Yes.
And who helped you go to sleep?
Jennifer.
Would Joseph ever help you go to sleep?
Sometimes.
This might be a silly question, but when you took a bath, did you have any clothes on?
Yes.
You had clothes when you took a
I mean,
bath?
no.
Okay. How about Laila, when she took a bath, did you have any clothes on?
No.
And when Laila was getting they helped Laila get dressed, did she have any clothes on?
No.
Did Laila wear panties or a diaper or something else?
A diaper.
Diaper. And what about you? Did you wear a diaper?
Panties.
Yes. When you were living with Jennifer and Joseph, did you ever see Jennifer and Joseph fighting?
No.
Did you ever see Jennifer and Joseph arguing?
No.
When you lived there, did you ever hear Jennifer and Joseph arguing?
No.
When you lived with Jennifer and Joseph, did Jennifer ever talk loudly?
Yes.
When you lived with Jennifer and Joseph, did Joseph ever talk loudly?
Yes.
When Jennifer was talking loudly, who would she talk loudly to?
Me and Laila.
And how come she was talking loudly to you and Laila?
Because she was mad.
And how come she was mad? Let me ask you this. What would Jennifer get mad at Laila about?
A lot of things.
A lot of things? And when Jennifer would get mad at Laila about a lot of things, what kind of things were those, Millie? You can turn and look at me over here a little bit. What kind of things would Jennifer get mad at Laila about? Millie, you said Jennifer would get mad at Laila about a lot of things. Do you know what those things were?
I know that she got mad at her for a lot of things, but I don't really know what they were.
Okay. And when Jennifer got mad at you, what did she get mad at you about?
Me not getting dressed fast enough.
Millie, when you wouldn't get dressed fast enough and Jennifer was angry, what would happen?
I would get a spanking.
And when you would get a spanking, where on your body would you get a spanking?
On my butt.
And when you got a spanking on your butt, what did Jennifer use to give you a spanking?
Her hand.
Would Jennifer use anything else to give you spankings?
A belt.
Would Jennifer use anything else to give you spankings other than a belt and her hands?
No.
And when Jennifer gave you spankings with a belt, where would you be in the house?
In her room.
And when Jennifer would give you spankings in her room, where would Joseph be?
He would be like all over the house.
He would be all over the house. Would he ever be in Jennifer's room when you got spankings?
Yes.
What did Joseph do in Jennifer's room when you were getting spankings?
Nothing.
When did Laila ever get spankings?
Yes.
And who gave Laila spankings?
Jennifer.
And on what part of Layla's body did she get spankings?
Same place.
Same place as you?
Mhm.
Is that the butt?
Yes.
Is that the butt you said?
Yes.
And when Laila got spankings, what room did Laila get spankings in?
The same room.
Is that Jennifer's room?
Yes.
And when Laila would get spankings in Jennifer's room on the butt, what would Jennifer use?
Same things.
Is that the hand and the belt?
Yes.
And when Laila was getting spankings, where would Joseph be?
In the room.
And what would Joseph do?
Nothing.
Would Joseph say anything?
No.
Was Joseph awake?
Yes.
Now, would Joseph ever spank?
No.
Would Joseph ever spank Laila?
No.
Now, what would you get in trouble about at Jen and Joseph's house? Let me ask you this one. What kinds of things did Jennifer not want you to do? I'm going to ask you a different way, okay? Was there anything, did you ever go on car rides with Joseph and Jennifer?
Yes.
And when you went on car rides, was there something that you weren't supposed to do in the car?
Sleep.
How come you weren't supposed to sleep?
I don't know.
When you went on car rides with Joseph and Jennifer, what are the things Laila wasn't supposed to do?
Yes.
And what were those things?
Sleep in the car.
What would happen if you slept in the car?
We would get a spanking.
And did you ever get a spanking for sleeping in the car?
Yes.
Did Laila ever get a spanking for sleeping in the car?
Yes.
And when you got the spankings from sleeping in the car, where were you? What room did it happen, or place?
In her room.
You said her room. Is that Jennifer's room?
Yes.
And did Joe know about you not? Did Joe know you weren't supposed to sleep in the car?
Yes.
Now, how did the spankings feel to your body?
It hurt.
When you got the spankings to your body, were your clothes on or off or something else?
Sometimes they were on, sometimes they were off.
Sometimes when you got spankings, would the belt touch your skin?
Yes.
Now, when Laila got spankings, were her clothes on or off or something else?
Same thing.
Same thing. When Laila got spankings, would the belt sometimes touch her skin?
Yes.
Did Laila ever hurt her leg when you were living with the Rosenbaums?
Yes.
Do you know how she hurt her leg?
In gymnastics?
Gymnastics? And were you there when she hurt her leg at gymnastics?
Yes.
And who told you her leg got hurt at gymnastics?
I don't remember.
Did Laila have to have a cast on her leg?
Yes.
How come she had to have a cast on her leg?
Because she broke it.
And how did she break it? Do you know?
She fell off a gymnastics bar.
And did someone tell you that's how she broke her leg?
Yes.
Who told you that?
That's all you can ask and answer. She said she didn't remember.
Hello.
You can tell us who told you that. Let me ask you this. Did Laila tell you that's how she hurt herself?
No.
Did Joseph tell you that?
No.
Did Jennifer tell you that?
No.
Do you remember who told you that?
No.
Now, you went to the hospital one day?
Yes.
Do you remember the day that Laila died?
Yes.
And on that day, did you go to the hospital?
Yes.
Now, right before you went to the hospital, where were you?
At the house?
When you say at the house, was that Jen and Joseph's house?
Yes.
And what were you doing at the house before you went to the hospital?
Eating.
And what was Laila doing?
Eating.
And who was in the house when you were eating?
Jennifer.
Where was Joseph?
He was in the house too.
Okay. And when you said you were eating, and then what happened when you were eating?
I went upstairs.
And what did you do upstairs?
I watched TV.
Do you remember what you watched on TV?
Paw Patrol.
And when you went upstairs to watch TV, were you done eating?
Yes.
And when you were upstairs watching TV, did you hear anything downstairs?
No.
What is the next thing you remember after? What's the next thing you remember after watching Paw Patrol?
Jennifer told me to come downstairs.
When she told you to come downstairs, did she come up and get you, or did she just use her words?
She used her words.
Where was Jennifer when she told you to come downstairs?
At the bottom of the stairs.
And when Jennifer told you to come downstairs, did you go downstairs?
Yes.
And when you went downstairs, where was Laila?
I don't remember.
And when you came downstairs, what did you do next?
We got in the car.
When you say we, who's we?
Jennifer and me.
And where did you go?
To the hospital.
Now, when you were, I'm going to step back a little, you said you were eating earlier that night before you went to the hospital.
Yes.
Was Laila eating too?
Yes.
At that time, how did Laila eat? Did she use her hands, a fork and a spoon, or something else? Laila in a chair or a high chair or something else?
A high chair.
And where was Jennifer when she was by Laila?
She was helping her eat.
Was Jennifer sitting or standing or something else?
Sitting.
Now, how do you feel about talking about the day that Laila died?
Kinda sad.
And how do you feel talking about living at the Rosenbaums house?
Same thing.
Do you like talking about living at the Rosenbaums house?
No.
Do you remember ever going to a Miss Ann's office?
Yes.
And how did you feel about going to Miss Ann's office?
Good.
What kind of things would you do at Ann's office?
We talked about the same thing.
And what other things would you do?
She had a sandbox that I would play in.
When you said you would talk about the same thing, what thing would you talk? What thing would you mean?
About living at the Rosenbaums.
And do you still see Miss Ann?
No.
Do you instead see a Miss Donna?
Yes.
And does Miss Donna come to your house or do you go to her?
She comes to my house.
And what do you and Miss Donna do when she comes to your house?
We read books and we watch calming videos.
You read books and watch calming videos? And do you remember someone named Kyle Lambert?
Yes.
And who's Kyle Lambert?
Somebody that I used to live with.
Is she a child or an adult or?
Adult.
And do you remember Miss Loretta Brown?
No.
Do you remember Lucas?
No.
Do you remember Michelle Chapman?
Yes.
Do you remember Anthony Chapman? Let me ask you this. Do you remember Michelle's husband?
No.
And do you remember Tiffany Shaw?
No.
And who is Peggy Banks?
My great-grandmother.
And what do you call her?
Nana.
Was there a time that you lived with Miss Nana?
Yes.
When you lived at Nana's, what kind of things would you do?
We would watch TV.
Would you do anything else at Nana's house?
I would play with the dollhouse.
Would Laila ever go to Nana's house with you?
Yes.
After you lived with the Rosenbaums, who did you live with next? If you remember.
I don't remember.
And now, do you like where you're living now?
Yes.
Do you like living with your sisters?
Yes.
Do you... Now let me ask you this. You said that you had a bunk bed?
Yes.
And where in the bunk bed did you sleep?
On the top.
On the top? Did you always sleep on the top?
Yes.
And Laila, where would she sleep?
On the bottom.
Were there ever times Laila didn't sleep in the bunk bed?
No.
Were there ever times that you didn't sleep in the bunk bed?
No.
Would Laila ever get up at night and cry?
No.
No. What about you? Would you ever get up at night?
No.
When you took naps, where would you take naps?
On the bunk beds.
On the bunk bed? Would you take naps ever in the living room?
No.
Would you ever take naps or fall asleep in Jen's room?
No.
How about Layla? Did Layla take naps?
Yes.
And
No.
do you see Miss Joseph here in court today? If you need to stand up, you can.
Yes.
You do? Okay. And where is he? Witnesses identified Jennifer Rosenbaum. Okay, Millie, I have no more questions for you right now, but Miss Kareen might have some.
Okay? And Millie, I got some questions to ask you,
Okay.
okay? And I want you to answer me.
Yes.
And what are you doing now in gymnastics?
Cartwheels?
Do cartwheels?
No.
Do you remember trying to teach Laila how to do other gymnastics?
No.
No, you don't? What is that a picture of?
Laila going down the slide.
And who's beside her?
Me.
And who took you to the park? Did Miss Jennifer take you to the park?
I don't know.
You don't? Okay. I'm going to show you what I've marked as exhibits 31, 33, 34, 35, and 36. Tell me, if you would, what those pictures are of.
The closet
The closet where?
at the house.
In whose room?
Ours. A mini kitchen. A train set. Another train set.
Another train set.
And then the bunk beds.
Are these all in your room at the Rosenbaums?
Yes.
Did you like your room at the Rosenbaums?
Yes.
Tendering to evidence defendants exhibit 33, 35, 36, 37, and 31. Stipulated dates of July 21st, 2015. No, Judge. From the publisher. Tell us what that is.
The closet.
And whose clothes and shoes are those?
Me and Layla's.
And who got those clothes for you? Do you remember?
No.
Now, what is this a picture of, Millie?
The bunk beds.
Okay. And do you all like playing on the bunk beds?
Yes.
Did you jump on the bunk beds?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. And sometimes, you slept on the bottom. Did sometimes Layla jump on the bottom of the bed as well as the top bed?
She only jumped on the bottom.
On the bottom bed. And several times, isn't it true, Millie, that she would bump up against this, correct? Against this ledge?
I don't remember.
Do you remember her saying that her head hurt when she bumped her head on the ledge?
No.
Do you remember Jennifer telling you not to jump on the beds?
No.
She told you it was okay to jump on the beds? Did she tell you it was all right to jump on the beds?
No.
No, okay. Tell me about what is in this picture, Millie.
A train set.
And what kind of a train set is that?
Some blocks.
Blocks. Did you like playing with that?
Yes.
And what do we see beside the train set?
The TV.
Okay. You had a TV in your room?
Yes.
And were you allowed to watch it?
Yes.
When were you allowed to watch it? Were you allowed to watch it any time?
No,
You allowed to watch it in the mornings when there were cartoons on?
I don't know.
And what is this a picture of?
The kitchen,
Okay, whose kitchen was that?
me and Laila's,
Okay, and what's in front of the kitchen?
a shopping cart.
Okay, and who did that belong to?
Both of us.
Tell me, did anybody else live at the house with you? With the Rosenbaums? Did anybody ever come and stay?
No,
No? Did they have 2 dogs?
I don't remember.
You don't remember Ptolemy?
No,
I'm going to show you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 40 and ask you if you can identify that.
that's me and Laila standing in front of the door.
Standing in front of what door?
The front door?
Front door, okay. At this time, I would tender Defendant's Exhibit 40 with a stipulated date of July 31st, 2015.
Can see if you know, John.
And then,
Yeah, publishing.
yes.
Now, which one is you here, Millie?
The one closest to the door.
Okay. And what are you doing?
We were getting ready for bed.
Oh, okay. And that's what you slept in to go to bed?
Yes,
At this time, Your Honor, I would tender Defendant's Exhibit 40 with the stipulated date of July 31st, 2015. May I publish?
Has 40 been in the, it's been in the, 40's been in the, that's 40.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to show you what's been marked as Defendants 42 and 43. To see if you can identify those.
it's me at a Chick-fil-A party. And then me and Laila are jumping on bouncy houses.
Okay, and where was the bouncy house? Do you remember?
There was a festival at Chick-fil-A.
Okay. And how did you get to the festival?
We drove.
You drove, okay. I would tender 42 and 43 into evidence with stipulated date of August 1st, 2015.
No, John.
Maybe 42 and 43.
May I publish? Now, Millie, tell us, what is that on your face?
A butterfly.
Who put it there?
We got our face painted.
Did you ask for a butterfly?
Yes,
Did you like what you got?
yes.
I'm going to show you the other picture. And what are you and Laila doing there?
Jumping on the bouncy house.
I'm going to show you what I've marked as Defendants 45, 46, and 47. Take a look at that and see if you can identify those pictures.
This is me and Laila standing by horses. This is us standing by a minion hay bale. And then Laila, I don't know what that machine is.
You don't know what that machine is, but what is Laila? Who's it a picture of?
Laila.
Okay. At this time, I would tender into the record Defendants 45, 46, and 47 with a stipulated date of September 19th, 2015.
No objection.
May I publish?
May.
Millie, what was going on here?
We were standing by 2 horses
And do you know where that was?
at the petting zoo.
Okay, was that at the Fall Festival?
Yes,
Where did you get those dresses? Do you remember?
no.
What is this a picture of?
Laila.
And this?
That's a picture of me and Laila standing by a hay bale.
That's a hay bale? Why does he have just one eye?
I don't know.
Now, you said that you had baths with Millie a lot, is that right? With Laila?
Yes,
Because who are you?
Millie.
Okay. Look at numbers 50 and 56. 50, let me just show you 50 first. And ask you, what is this a picture of?
Me at gymnastics.
Okay. And what is number 56 a picture of?
Me and Laila in the bathtub.
So at this time, I would tender into evidence defendants exhibit 50 and 56. 50 having a stipulated date of September 21st, 2015, and 56 having a date of October 4th, 2015.
No objection.
You may vote.
I'm going to show you pictures. Defendants exhibit 60, 61, and 62. Let's see if you recognize that.
Me at my birthday party.
And where was your birthday party?
At Noah's Ark.
What is,
Me getting ready to open presents. Me opening the presents.
I would tender into evidence 60, 61, and 62, all with dates of October 17th, 2015, and ask them to publish.
No objection.
You may vote.
What is that a picture of?
Me at my birthday party.
And who's standing with you? Do you know?
No,
You don't remember who those people are?
no.
Who is that a picture of?
Me standing by presents.
Okay. And what are you wearing, Millie?
An Elsa costume.
An Elsa costume. You like Elsa?
Yes,
Is she your favorite?
it used to be.
Used to be. Okay. Let me show you Defendant's Exhibit 61. What's going on in this picture?
I'm sitting getting ready to open presents.
And who's with you?
Nana.
And can you show us which one is Nana?
The one in the black. The one in the black sweater.
What is this picture again?
Me and Laila in the bathtub.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about gymnastics. This is you at gymnastics, is that right?
Yes,
And what kind of things did you do at gymnastics there?
cartwheels.
You did cartwheels back then too?
Yes,
When you lived with the Rosenbaums?
yes,
Okay, so now do you do them really well?
yes.
Okay. What else did you do there?
We did somersaults.
Okay. Did you do tumbling?
Yes,
Did you hang on the bars?
yes.
I'm going to show you a number of pictures, and I want you to see if you can identify them for me.
Okay.
Okay? The first one, I'm especially curious to know what it is. What is that?
It's me at a Grinch party.
It's you
And the Grinch.
and the Grinch. Who else is there? Who are you dressed as?
Cindy Lou Who.
And Cindy Lou Who. So you're Millie Lou Who?
Yes,
Okay, and who's the other picture of?
me on my bed.
Any other picture?
Me on my bed.
Thank you. This time I would tender into evidence defendants 51, 63, and 64 with dates of November of 2015 and September of 2015.
I have no objection to this recording.
Okay. What dates are you talking about?
Okay. Defendants Exhibit 51 is September 23rd, 2015. Defendants Exhibit 64 is November 7th, 2015. And Defendants Exhibit 63 is November 4th, 2015. Millie, let's look at these pictures, and you tell me, you look very happy there, right?
Yes.
What are you doing that's making you so happy? Were you just happy that day?
Yes.
Let's look at Defendants Exhibit 64 and explain to us how that hair got the way it did.
We put a cup under it.
You put a cup, who's we?
Me and Nana.
You and Nana made it?
Yes.
Okay. And who did you go see the Grinch with?
Nana.
You went with Nana. You didn't go with Miss Jennifer? Maybe Miss Jennifer?
Maybe.
Did maybe Miss Jennifer put the cup on your head?
Maybe.
Okay. What is this a picture of?
Me sitting on my bed.
Okay. You look very happy in that picture too, right?
Yes.
Last photos I want you to look at are these four. And these are Defendants Exhibit 30, Defendants Exhibit 38, 39, and 65 and 66.
Me and Laila hunting for Easter eggs.
Where was that?
I don't know.
Does it look like maybe it's the backyard where you?
Yes. Laila eating a sucker. Me with a bike behind me.
And whose bike is that?
I don't know. But it could be mine.
It could be yours. Did you know how to ride a bike?
No.
Did this bike have training wheels?
Yes.
And what's the last photo?
Me sitting in front of the house.
This time I would tender into the record. Defendants Exhibit 38 with a stipulated date of July 25th. Defendants Exhibit 39 with a stipulated date of July 28th. Defendants Exhibit 65 and 66 with the dates of November 11th, 2015.
No objection.
I think.
They're not published.
Nick.
So what's going on here, Lily?
Me and Laila are hunting for Easter eggs.
Okay, and what's that board that's standing up there? Do you know?
No.
Okay. What is this a picture of?
Laila eating a sucker.
Was that a bicycle you rode?
Yes.
So you knew how to ride that bicycle, right?
Yes.
And this is a picture of you outside?
Yes.
And who's sitting out there?
Laila.
And who else? Can you tell?
No.
No, that's all the questions I have at this time.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You can step down.
And Your Honor, she's excused.
Any objection? She's excused. Let's go ahead and take our lunch break. And we'll come back at 1:15. 1:15. Begin go.
Ms. Richardson, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes.
What's your name?
Millie.
And how do you spell Millie?
Millie.
And what's your last name?
Harrell.
And how do you spell Harold?
Harrill.
And Millie, did you ever go by the name Millie Place?
Yes.
How old are you, Millie?
7.
And when's your birthday?
October 4th.
Do you have any plans for your birthday yet? No? So I'm going to see this lady right here in front of you. She's taking down everything I say, everything you say. So when you answer, you're going to have to use your voice, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So let's try that again. Do you have any plans for your birthday?
No.
Perfect, okay. And what grade are you going into?
Second.
Second. And what fun things have you done this summer?
We went swimming.
And who do you live with?
Mommy.
Mommy, uh-huh. And who else is in your house?
My 2 little sisters.
And do you have a favorite color?
Yellow.
Yellow. And what kind of fun things do you do when you're not in school?
We play outside.
Play outside. Do you like going to gymnastics?
Yes.
What kind of things do you do in gymnastics?
We do cartwheels.
Cartwheels. And how about, can you do a split?
Yes.
On both sides or one side?
One
One
side.
side. Are you working on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Millie, do you know why you're here today? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And why are you here today?
To talk about stuff.
To talk about stuff? Okay. What stuff are you here to talk about? Well, let me ask you another way. Was there a time that you lived with Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
Okay. When you lived with Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum, did anyone else live with you?
Laila.
Who's Laila?
My sister.
Was Laila older than you or younger than you?
Younger.
When you lived with Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum, how old were you?
5.
5, okay. And do you remember how old Laila was?
2.
And when you lived with Jennifer Rosenbaum, what did you call Jennifer Rosenbaum?
Miss Jennifer.
Miss Jennifer. And when you lived with Joseph Rosenbaum, what did you call Joseph? Do you remember? No?
No.
So when we're talking in court today, when I say Miss Jennifer, you know we're talking about Jennifer Rosenbaum? Okay. And when I say Joseph, I'll be talking about Joseph Rosenbaum. Okay. Does that work for you? Yes?
Oh, I guess Jenny just let me know that it's replaying it. There isn't really a lot of time left anyways, but they had it in 4 segments. I think on Law and Crime, this is before they started putting the full trial up there, so that's just like these chunks. And there was 4 different chunks that were on there in a row, but you can't tell if it's, so it's probably, Jenny, let's see, 8675309, just let me know that it was replaying a portion of it. And I don't think there's anything different at the end. There's only 16 minutes left anyway. Let's see. You've already seen all this, right? So anyways, thanks for letting me know that. Yeah, it's hard because they don't have the full day of trial. They have like chunks. But nowadays you can have like 8-hour videos up on there. I don't know if they had that there before. Okay, Jenny Penny. Anyways, let's see. Well, I guess that's it, you guys, since you've already seen that. But pretty sad to have a young person like that up on the stand to have to explain things. And it's good that they're not showing her face or anything like that. So anyways, thank you all for being here. Check out in, I guess, 40 minutes or so, the my Brian Koberger timeline video is coming out. Let's see if anybody watches it. Are you guys there? Hello? Anybody? Anybody at all? All right, anyways, we will see you guys later. Thank you to, let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna do I gotta do I like to do that rolling credits. It's fun. Where is it? Generous Freaks. Thank you, Freaks, for supporting Grant Hughes. Subscriptions. Termy. Super Chats. Caligal3. Phony Pin. Mama She 13. Deborah Blum Rogers. Kathy Chapin. Danielle. Kami. Tina Sousa. Traveling Teresa. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. It's at 1:15 my time. So anyways, thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow for day number 4. Yeah, tomorrow, what's today? Tomorrow's Saturday. Yeah, maybe we'll do one on Saturday day. I don't know. We'll see. Might just hold it over till Monday or something like that. Do you guys like having the day shows on the weekends, or is it kind of cool just to... Because for me, sometimes it's nice to be able to just sit around and do research and not be sort of present all the time. Yep. Okay, let me check one thing before I get out of here. Make sure if anybody randomly sent a... Nope. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, and we will. Thanks for the freaks out there for reaching the goal again. Just trying to kind of augment the income for the channel, and the end of the month that seems to have helped a little bit. You know, maybe I think it probably allows me to donate another $800 to $1,000 a month to various charities as well. So that's good. So I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys later, all right? So, as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.
Huh? It's a house! Bitch, please! Drama!
Dude! Ray is so mean!
Mr. Martinez, are you angry at me? 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 Mr. Martinez, are you angry at me?